Street Journal editorial page here, Jonathan Lemire, I heard you talking about it a second ago, but Donald Trump afraid to debate.
Definitely.
And the Wall Street Journal asks a question, lead editorial. Why is Donald Trump afraid to debate? And they go through a series of things. But the bottom line is they conclude by saying Mr. Trump's advisors may be telling him he shouldn't appear unless he says something that hurts his legal defense, which of course he does but that's a sign of weakness, not strength. And he'll have to answer those questions eventually. What is the former president afraid of? Asks the Wall Street Journal editorial page.
Yeah, it's the right question. And obviously, it does a disservice to voters, Republican voters, to our democracy if he doesn't participate in these debates. He should, period, full stop. But right now, they're sending no signal that he will. He skipped the first debate. He showed no slippage in the polls. In fact, his lead has only grown. He is not going to participate next week, in partially because of a personal animosity he has against the Reagan Library, of all places. But now he's sending signals that he won't go to the third one, which is scheduled a month later. And some of his aides have raised the possibility, why do it at all? They feel like if he shows up, all he does is elevate those around him. He becomes subject to their attacks. They feel like he could get pulled to the right on certain issues, trying to out-conservative someone like a Mike Pence or a Governor DeSantis or whoever it might be. There remains the Chris Christie factor, where they're afraid of Christie going at him one-on-one, which is Christie has telegraphed saying that's what he's born to do at this moment. And we also should raise the possibility of Trump, were he to be the nominee, not participating in general election debates either. Remember what drama was around at 4 years ago. So none of this is good for the democracy, full stop. But also, it's not good, for these other candidates who try to take a swipe at him. And it does seem like Donald Trump, maybe it's an effort to not say something incriminating, although he does that anyway. It doesn't seem like he's going to participate. He feels like he can do a glide path to the nomination and start thinking about a general election stance with issues like abortion and visiting those auto workers next week.
Well, not only that, the Wall Street Journal suggests, and if you look at what happened last weekend, Willie, where you looked at him and he just got lost. He just blanked. And he couldn't even remember, one, who he was running against in 2024. And then, and I know it was almost 8 years ago. It was a long time ago. If you're we've all been around people with dementia, people getting older, people forgetting things.
Or just not knowing history.
Well, no, it's his history. So if his mind wasn't jumbled at that moment, he would remember that he ran against Hilary Clinton in 2016. But he couldn't remember who he ran against in 2016, so he just slid Obama in there. And he couldn't remember who he's running against in 2024. So what he did, he just slid Obama's name in there. It's just kind of a catch-all. So I guess if you start your career with a racist conspiracy theory about Obama, he's got that back there somewhere. So he's living somewhere in 2011. So I'll just say Obama's name. People seem to like that. But the Wall Street Journal editorial page actually suggests about as much, that maybe he's afraid he's just too old to do this. They write, why is Mr. Trump afraid to confront other Republicans without the aid of a teleprompter? Is he worried he'd look his age at 77 next to younger candidates? And you know what? I know for Donald, that line hurts, because he's seen the video of how addled he looked and how confused he looked and how shaken he looked last weekend when he couldn't even remember who he was running against. And now you've got the Wall Street Journal editorial page saying, hey, I guess this guy's, he's afraid he can't do this without a teleprompter and he's too old, which I guess starts raising questions, Willie. Like, is this really who the Republicans, if they don't look at the 4 indictments and the stealing of the nuclear secrets and the stealing of war plans and the attempt to steal an election, like maybe the Wall Street Journal is suggesting, and I think they are, hey, there's a reason why Donald Trump is afraid to debate. Is it because he's afraid he's getting too old and he may lose his mind like he did that night on stage when he thought he was running against Barack Obama. I mean, if you're debating somebody and you don't even know who you're running against in the general election, that could cause a problem. I'm not good at this politics thing, but that could cause a problem.
I think just throwing Obama out as a stand-in for all Democrats, I think that works. You know, it's hard to remember all the names of all the people you've run against.
So many of them.
Over the course of your career. Yeah, it's one thing to stand at a rally with a friendly crowd and to play the greatest hits, to get all the cheers, to have the music play you off the stage. It's another thing to stand on the stage and be under attack, although I guess it's an open question whether this field even
Hello and welcome to Rising. We've got a special edition of the show for you today. Robbie is out sick. You'll never guess why. You know, he lost his voice playing too much Dungeons and Dragons the other night. So I have the delight of being joined at the desk today by Sir Michael Singleton. Welcome, Sir Michael.
Bree, thanks for having me. I mean, I'm so excited to actually be in the studio with you for once. I mean, I miss Robbie. I'm going to be honest. I hope to see him soon, but it's good to be next to you.
Robbie sowed the seeds of his own destruction. He knows what he did. He knows he can't be out during a weeknight hollering up with the boys.
Robbie, we're not young anymore, bro. We're not young anymore.
All right. Well, we've got some big stories to get into today. First up, former President Trump hit Truth Social last night with major demands for Republicans on the Hill. Quote, a very important deadline is approaching at the end of the month. Republicans in Congress can and must defund all aspects of crooked Joe Biden's weaponized government that refuses to close the border and treats half the country as enemies of the state. This is also the last chance to defund these political prosecutions against me and other patriots. They failed on the debt limit, but they must not fail now. Use the power of the purse and defend the country. Rolling Stone reports that privately, the former president is bugging out over the possibility of serving prison time. The ex-president has repeatedly asked his confidants and attorneys if he'd have to wear one of those jumpsuits behind bars.
Now back to the shutdown. If Speaker Kevin McCarthy fails to get the votes needed, the government will shut down at the end of next week. Republicans in the Senate are doubtful McCarthy can do it with the party's majority alone. Several senators told The Hill they predict the speaker will need to court some Democratic votes if he wants to see the bill passed. I'm not surprised by that.
You're not surprised by the need to get Democrats across the aisle?
No. I mean, I think the Freedom Caucus, I think this time around, they're going to have to stand their ground on this, Bree. I mean, I've spoken with several chiefs of staff, to some of the members on the Freedom Caucus side, and a lot of their constituents were really unhappy with what occurred several months ago. And so now they're feeling it not only from the voters, but also some of their key donors of, hey, you need to stand your ground on this. There's some major cuts that needs to occur before we approve any type of continuing resolution.
So this is the dynamic that's been playing out ever since the force the vote moment with Kevin McCarthy at the beginning of the year, where the Freedom Caucus combined with Donald Trump from the sidelines has wanted a more conservative isn't quite the way to say it. The factions in the Republican Party have more to do with whether or not you're for or against military spending in Ukraine and some of these issues that are not falling among...
Which most Americans are now against.
Right, including, and this has been historically a left issue as well. And that's why I hesitate just to say they're more right. I would say they're more anti-establishment, let's say, than the Republican Party. Kevin McCarthy got through this temporary kind of Band-Aid deal a couple of months ago. And now there's this question of whether or not these Freedom Caucus people can really get much more if they hold out. I can understand from a political perspective why they would like to be able to say that they held out and they fought and take that information back home to their districts. But realistically, Kevin McCarthy and the Democrats are united in their interest in keeping the government open. And do you really think that ultimately it's going to make any difference? Are they going to use one of the concessions that they got from the force the vote moment in January to try to kick Kevin McCarthy out of office? out of the leadership position, rather?
Yeah.
Do they have the votes for that, or is this all going to be a round of performative voting?
So from my understanding, they don't have the votes for that. And as some Republican senators have stated, even if we were to concede to some of the things that the Freedom Caucus have asked for, it wouldn't pass the Senate. We just do not have the votes or the support in the Senate for many of these initiatives. And so it's best to try to get something accomplished. But I do think the Freedom Caucus, I think there's an overall point that they're trying to make that's pretty salient for most Americans. A few days ago, we surpassed $33 trillion, Bree, in debt. $33 trillion, that's roughly around $50,000 to $60,000+ per American. That's someone who's eligible to work, that is. And so when you're talking about people being able to pay off this debt, they're thinking about giving a future that's better than the present for their children and their grandchildren. That reality doesn't exist. And so I think to make the argument of, hey, we're going to vote for something, but we do need to change some of the spending habits in this country. We need to pay down some of the debt. I think that's a fair point. And I also think to make the argument that it's also a national security risk is also a legitimate point to make.
So I'm with you if we're still talking about the spending that is, frankly, the biggest bucket of spending in this country, which is outside of some basic healthcare and social programs.
I know where you're going.
Military spending. But here's the problem, Shermichael. People who watch the show know that I sat down, Marjorie Taylor Greene. We've seen this from members of the more conservative flank of the Republican Party. And when asked directly whether or not they want there to be cuts to the military budget, not just spending for Ukraine, but the military budget more holistically, they say no.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, China right now is perhaps as strong as it has ever been over the past several decades. They're now leading the charge with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now there are other countries that are joining. For the viewers, if you're not aware, I would say Google BRICS. You should be aware of this, Bree.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about
there are some serious economic implications for the United States and the power of the dollar international in that regard. Look at their aggressions in the South China Sea. They're bolstering their military. I mean, so there are some serious things that I think the United States need to be aware of in terms of our ability to continue to be the nation's or the world's leader, if you will, that could at some point in the next decade or two be usurped by China's aggression economically and militarily. So it's the absolute wrong time to decrease military spending.
All right. Well, that puts you out of step with, as you mentioned, the majority of the public who isn't, I think,
and I'm okay with that.
With Ukraine, but preoccupied with U.S. global hegemony, imperialism, and all of those kinds of things in a way that, frankly, as a leftist is very heartening. But I think we're going to see a test of how sincere the kind of anti-war beliefs of the Freedom Caucus members and others really are. I just wanted to ask you about the Trump piece of this.
Yeah.
He seems to be trying to kind of weaponize this standoff and inject himself into the middle of it and say, you got to hold out on this one. You got to defund the powers that would put me in jail. You got to defund the Justice Department. You got to defund those who would want to weaponize the government against me. Do you think that is going to be a helpful pitch as the Freedom Caucus tries to get votes to get a more advantageous, more anti-establishment?
Well, I definitely think it helps them in their ability to say, no, we're not going to vote for something. I think it helps individuals like the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, Lauren Boeberts, Matthew Gaetz in particular, who really has been one of the main members saying if McCarthy goes too far, then maybe we need another speaker. And so I think it's effective in that regard. But I would caution the former president, who will likely be the nominee again of my party, who I once worked for, that we should consider the implications of this in the general election. We're talking about vets. How are we going to pay them? We're talking about
And then again, I'm so happy that we had this conversation because I do think that it unpacked a lot of the core of the division in the left right now, which is that there are people who believe that Trump presents an existential harm and that therefore, no matter what Biden does, and people will push back and say, well, Biden has done great, so it's not about lowering the bar for Biden. But if you watch the first 5 minutes of the conversation, the stakes became very clear. If you believe that Donald Trump is an existential threat, then singing Biden's accomplishments is irrelevant. And that's what I was trying to get across to Kyla. In that instance, it's like, it's not that anybody is trying to minimize that Biden, of course, has done good things. And as I say elsewhere in the clip, I can also say Obama did good things. Everyone does something good. Nixon made Earth Day. Like, everyone does something good. And I'm not saying that to diminish anything.
Right.
But that's not what is motivating people's decisions at the polls. What the way the conversation is framed is that because of Trump presenting an existential threat, not because Biden is good, but because Trump presents an existential threat, you have to vote for the Democrat. And I asked them at the beginning, I said, let's concede. Like, when I say let's concede that Biden is better, I mean it. For the sake of argument, Biden is better. Fine, Biden is better. 20 times, 1,000 times. When I said he's 10 times better, Kyle later in the conversation goes, okay, but he's 1,000 times better. All right, when does it end? Let's go. He's 1,000,000 times better. Okay, fine. Does that mean then that you're willing to withhold your vote for a Democratic candidate the next cycle when it's not Trump? If it were Ron DeSantis, would you say that it's, now we can start having a conversation about withholding our vote? No.
Yeah.
If it was,
did you bring that up? Because
yes.
that would
Yes,
instantly provoke the same reaction. In fact, all the people saying, not all of the, I don't know if Crystal and Kyle would say that. I don't know them that well. I don't watch them very often. They would say that they're already doing, like, mainstream Democratic people at least are already doing that. Ron DeSantis is worse than Trump.
Yes, and
You've heard that argument.
I think that's actually true because I think he's more effective and Trump got in his own way sometimes. Remember when he created an unconstitutional hook to strike down his Muslim ban because he just said out loud, we're banning them because they're Muslim.
But the point is, it contradicts the idea that this is a once-off, you just have to support the Democrat because of Trump. Of course it's not going to be like that.
So what I had hoped and what I hope the three of us were able to have a conversation about going forward, because I hope this is just the beginning of something, is what does the off-ramp look like? If you don't believe in vote no matter who, and I should say that this conversation was sparked. I reached out to Crystal to discuss this because for the previous week, there had been a viral clip going around of Crystal from Breaking Points in which she had articulated basically the argument that she's making in this debate. But people pointed out that it seemed to contrast with the position that she had taken earlier, a year or so ago in Radars or in the version of their Radars over on Breaking Points. And people were trying to figure out what had changed. And, I'm still a little bit unclear on that personally. And I just want to be really clear. I at no point disagree with the value of the NLRB appointments and what they really do bring to labor's ability to agitate for change in the United States of America. I strongly believe that the path to the kind of more socialist future that I advocate for, one where workers' rights are primary over profits, is going to come through labor power. I didn't disagree with a single thing that Crystal said. I think the difference of opinion has to be about what our priorities are. And my personal priority is ending the corporate duopoly. And the only way to do so, per Kyle's own statements in the debate, is to advocate for third parties and also ranked choice voting. And a point that I made, I was thinking of you, Robbie, is that the Libertarian Party has been perhaps the most effective advocate for ranked choice voting in the United States because unlike the Green Party, which has similar interests as the Libertarian Party, it's much better funded. It's because it takes corporate money and the Green Party doesn't, but regardless, it is much better funded. So to me, there is a real tangible benefit to voting for a third-party candidate so they can get 5% of the vote in federal matching funds and can start to lend that effort to getting ranked choice voting and break the duopoly.
If viewers aren't aware, longtime viewers I'm sure are aware, Crystal Ball was the former host of this show. Kyle Klinsky is her husband. They're recently married. You were at the wedding, I believe.
Yes, I was.
You're friendly with them.
Yes.
And Crystal, I think, was known for, including in her role as the host of the show during the previous Bernie campaign, as a major supporter and booster of Bernie Sanders. Not someone I would have necessarily expected to be hearing from in a very, we really do got to rally behind Biden. Obviously, the conversation that you and I have about this is different because I do actually object to and disagree with most of the things that Kyle was listing as achievements because I disagree with those policies.
Up first, a rerun Kevin McCarthy wanted to avoid at all costs and could not. Paralysis right now gripping the House floor. Republicans just tried and failed to pass a rule to start the debate on the defense funding bill. The development left the speaker visibly frustrated and openly venting that his members are telling him one thing, then voting another way. That the House cannot even start debate is telling, both of how little control McCarthy currently has over hardliners and how concession after concession has netted the House Speaker very little progress. Let's get straight up to Capitol Hill and CNN's Melanie Zonono. So, Mel, break down what happened here and what went wrong for the Speaker.
Yeah, this was an embarrassing defeat for Kevin McCarthy and the leadership team. This is the second time that a procedural vote on a defense bill has failed on the House floor this week alone. That's something you rarely see in Congress, and now it has happened twice for this House Republican conference. But heading into today, leadership was confident. They had this leadership meeting last night with all of the rest of the conference. It was 2 hours long. They worked out their differences. They thought they finally had a path forward on these spending bills. So it was a huge surprise when this vote went down on the floor. And in fact, there was 2 members who had voted yes on the procedural vote earlier this week that ended up voting no today. So the math problems are only growing. But I think the big picture here is that the House is paralyzed. There is no path forward on spending, let alone trying to solve this government shutdown problem. They are trying to put this bill on the floor on Saturday. That would just be a Republican-only funding plan bill, but it doesn't look like they have the votes for that either. I asked one of the members who helped negotiate that deal whether they're going to still try to push forward with that, and he said, I don't know. They sounded really defeated and really deflated. And at some point, Kevin McCarthy is going to have a decision to make. He has been trying to work within his ranks, trying to give conservatives every concession they wanted to get them on board. It has not been enough. When will he at some point work with Democrats? That is the big question in Washington right now. But there's a lot of concern about what that could do for Kevin McCarthy's speakership. And then you also have members like Matt Gaetz who are threatening his own colleagues who are going to try to team up with Democrats. Let's take a listen to what he told me a little bit ago.
There will not be sufficient Republican votes for a continuing resolution. Now, if we've got some of these moderate Republicans who want to go and join up with the Democrats, they will be signing their own political death warrant, and they will be handing it to their executioner.
Welcome to a special edition, just because it's Thursday, of RBN Live Thursdays. We can call it Straight Out of Politics for today. And we're starting out the first segment already with this video that we just played. And if you heard, wait, did I say my name was CJ? Welcome to the show. My name is CJ. It stands for Compton J, or J in real life. I don't think I said that. Make sure you hit that like button. But back to what I was saying, very interesting clip that I saw. It was too many things that I wanted to be in the intro to talk about, because the clip earlier with Rising, that's another clip we can have a conversation about. I had to take another clip. I was going to play the NATO commander being on Morning Joe. But anyway, so there's a lot to cover is the point that I want to make. So before I get back into the topic, let me shout out what the topics are today. Where are we? All right, so right here on the screen, let's go left to right. The main topic, and we'll probably cover it in the third or fourth segment, and that is the threat of Cornel West. And you see Cornel there, or Dr. Cornel West, and you see David Corn to his left. He's the guy who wrote the article called The Threat of Cornel West. We'll read that today and go over some of the points that we pulled out of that. Then if you move over on the graphic, the person with the little military gear on, that is now former spokesperson for an organization and part of the Ukraine defense, because of some exchange she had with the congressman, and now she has been suspended from her post. And then on the far right, if you haven't heard, Rand Paul, libertarian Rand Paul, has said that he is going to object to any future funding of the Ukraine war that's included in anything. So there's that. Then there's a couple of more. The Sunrise Movement is getting dragged for support of the biggest eco-terrorist in human history. That's Joe Biden. And then, of course, there's on Hypocrisy Watch. I'm going to start doing a segment called Hypocrisy Watch. On Hypocrisy Watch, there's Hilary Clinton says there's a war on truth. That's literally coming. The audacity of some of these people, what they say, but that's literally coming from. Hang on a second here. That's literally coming from Hillary Clinton. Then Kevin McCarthy to grill Zelensky over Ukraine funding. So this is one of the things I think they're going to be fear-mongering. That is the Democratic Party will be fear-mongering about. And that is if you elect Republicans, they're going to stop supporting Ukraine, which is a failed strategy because Ukraine support is in the negative. I mean, is more people who are against more funding to Ukraine than are for, even if it's close. All right, so I think that's all of the topics that we're going to be covering today. But let me do something I intended to do. So I'm going to sidetrack this here. I told myself I want to start just kind of scrolling through my tweets because I retweet. I try to retweet important things along with funny things, not funny as in like jokes, but funny as in a Hunter Biden story to me is a funnier story or more lighthearted. Maybe funny is not the right word. But anyway, the reason I'm saying all this because let me just scroll through my profile and see what I retweeted. These might be just stories that just didn't have the time to cover, but I still want to just kind of scroll through. That is, I don't want to do that. All right, so let's get to some stories here. Here's Misty. Shout out to Misty, Comrade Misty, who is giving props to Claire Daly for calling out. And I covered this where the NATO commander is admitting to a bunch of things. And I covered it in a segment a couple of days ago, and I think it's already posted. So, and then we have, who's this? Stephanie. The Green Party, which first began calling in 2015, is heartened to see such widespread support for a Green Party deal among the estimated 75,000 march on Sunday to ban faster climate. Okay, that's just an article from Green Party. Then we got Nick here. What is Nick referring to? He says Kyle, and I believe that's Zelensky, is constantly undermining your campaign by constantly praising Biden, by the way. He's saying that to Marianne Williamson, who posted something about Kyle. So we can count on Nick for doing that. And this is another story that kind of could have made it, but just didn't have time. John Cusack just went on a rant, and this is Professor Zunkus. John Cusack just went on a rant posting the same kind of criticism of the Democratic Party that he blocked me and scores of other leftists for saying years ago. Well, I guess it's time to block yourself now, John. No, what he's doing, Professor, what they do, these Hollywood types, Deborah Messing's doing it, has a project is doing the same thing. They go out and say all these non-establishment things, sort of like bait to catch non-establishment ears, and they're going to reel them back, talking non-establishment. Yeah, the Democrats not doing this. Yeah, the Democrats not doing that. And then at the end, they're going to have a trapdoor. Well, we're going to support the Democrats. So they're just bait. And whoever falls for their rhetoric, but this is it. Actually, I saw it on Fox News first. So it actually has made television, cable news, Fox News brought up this story of John Cusack says, Democrat elites sold out the working class for decades. They're full of shit. I guess I could say that since I say it all the time. So that's another cool story. I think I like doing this. You may have to remind me to do this. Just like we gotta have a hypocrisy watch. Now I'm gonna have like a scroll session where I just scroll down and you can see what I'm retweeting here. It's a lot of interesting stories This one from the Cradle. The West destroyed Africa. Eurasia will revive it. That is Russia, China. And I believe this article is referring to, or when it goes into the link. And here's Ryan Knight. I know we all are on a political journey, and I literally went through one, but the pivot from Bernie bros to Biden bros is just wild to me. Yet it happened to not only Bernie himself, but most of these lefty podcasters. Maybe I'm just jaded because I ended up at fuck the system, bro. I like that one. Then we got, as Rome, NATO lost another war. They started, 400,000 plus people died while billions were stolen away from starving American families that won't and can't recover from this. Man, I do have a lot of great stuff. Here's Lee Camp talking about the Pentagon lied to Congress's faces, and the story is getting worse. The Pentagon lied about U.S. presence in Africa, which begs the question, who exactly is calling the shots when it comes to the military-industrial complex? And that's, I think I might have to, because I'm just, my whole feed is fire, and I'm going to end here, because it speaks to the segment we're about to get to. And I think let's start here, actually. Or maybe let's insert this as part of the segment. And Aaron, I know you might have to edit and chop out that whole other stuff of me scrolling and then insert this part, but you can start back here. Because this tweet right here from Nick, and he's quote tweeting Shama Sawant. And let's read what he says. Shama and Worker Strike Back called out Ro Khanna and progressives who broke the rail strike for using labor for photo ops. Why are we allowing these traders in to our organizing spaces like AOC at the climate change? Because I don't know if any of you have seen, but there's video. Ro Khanna is putting out video. Actually, here it is right here. Ro Khanna is putting out video where everybody and their mama want to act like they down with the UA workers. Joe Biden, all the progressives, Bernie Sanders. Now, there's a little bit of props. I would kind of separate him slightly out because he was out there in the beginning, day one, at the first tick. But yeah, here is the video. And this is the clown shit that the progressives, I don't understand how people fall for this. This is clown shit. Do you think he really cares? You care. This is the definition of the professional managerial class. You only care enough about my issue to give it lip service. You don't care enough about my issue. If it's not your issue, you don't care enough about it to actually put yourself on the line for it. Why don't you doing something in Congress about this? Why aren't you pushing Joe Biden? Why aren't you putting out statements? Joe Biden, you must come out with a statement in support of 36% specifically. Not that I'm on the worker side. That Joe Biden says, the president Joe Biden just announced that he believes that the UA workers should be getting 36%. Instead, they go out here and do these photo ops so they can repost it. And then the clowns that follow them, and I'm calling them clowns, be offended if you want to, will eat this shit up because it makes them, this is all about making everybody feel better. It makes you feel good that you're supporting a guy who's terrible, who's a neocon, who's supporting war. It makes you feel good that he says he support Medicare for all, that he's out here picketing, but not doing anything tangible to bring about the changes that these workers need. So let's look at this labor propaganda that this moron, Ro Khanna right here, this neocon, this anti-labor congressperson.
The whole country is watching what you're doing and standing with you. Because I think the workers in this country have gotten a raw deal. For how many years? At least 40. And you've got wages that haven't gone up. And then the food prices have gone up. Gas has gone up. Utilities have gone up.
He gets it. Yeah.
You know,
that's why we're out here.
What does this mean for you and your family being out on strike?
It's definitely going to tighten our belts. But it's show my kids and my stepkids that enough's enough of corporate greed. The top.
This is nauseating. This is nauseating because Understand, this clip was edited by his staff. Did you hear that? He gets it. Did you hear that in the background? This freaking dressed up red turd right here, dressed in red turd, he gets it. Jackass. So let's listen to this again.
20 years, at least 40, and you've got wages that haven't gone up, and then the food prices have gone up, gas has gone up, utilities have gone up. He gets it. Yeah. You know,
Does he get it? Does getting it mean just being able to diagnose the problem, or does getting it mean actually putting forth a solution for the problem? Does he get it? Because he's okay with sending billions over to Ukraine, though. So does he get it? Or is he out here just, and obviously, and it's nothing to this guy right here, obviously it's people that buy this stuff that they say. It's people that, and not everybody watches RBN. Not everybody watches Convo Couch. Not everybody watches Comrade Misty or watches Nico House or watches Jimmy Dore. Not everybody watches these shows. So if you're only watching MSNBC, not even, or CNN, or even Fox News for that matter, where you're not even being, you don't have malicious intent. You're just a person, I'm trying to seek news. That's it. And you seek news, but then you see people on MSNBC and CNN talking about Ro Khanna is the progressive. Ro Khanna is the labor guy. It's a totally misinformed, intentionally misinforming people or leaving stuff out about yourself. In this case, Ro Khanna. And when we're talking about cable news, leaving stuff out about these candidates that you're trying to praise, like talking about Joe Biden as a labor president as he broke a strike. You're not even going to say that. You're not even going to say, yeah, he broke a strike, but he's still considered. You don't even bring that up. Because it's all in hopes that you and the population is being worked to death where they can't pay attention to these details.
That's why we're out here. What does this mean for you and your family being out on strike?
It's definitely going to tighten our belts, but it's to show my kids and my stepkids that enough's enough of corporate greed.
Do you notice this video so far is not talking about the demands? Why aren't you including how the terrible capitalists, the big three automakers, why don't you put in on footage of them talking about how they're greedy? Why aren't you doing that, Ro Khanna? It's this. How do you feel? Are you out here? Can we talk about the issues? You see how it's the I'm here, but I'm not with you. That's exactly what it is. I'm here, but I'm not with you.
The top 1% just keeps taking and taking and taking, and we're struggling.
Our CEOs are making billions of dollars off of our backs.
Yeah. Trying to get rid of the middle class. That's bullshit. That's what they're doing. They keep on getting rid of us.
You know, it's corporate greed. Yeah. And it's been killing the working class for 40 years.
That's the comfortable thing. This is a comfortable place for progressives to be. This is literally their number one thing. Corporate greed. This is literally their number one thing when they're trying to say what separates them from the other Democrats. Corporate greed. Why is Ro Khanna not talking about how he takes money from corporate? Why is he not talking about that? The same corporate greed that you're talking about, he takes money from those corporations.
Absolutely. Everything else in the world has gone up while we're still at the same rate of pay. I mean, they have the money to do right by the workers.
But they'd rather have all the part-time workers because they
do right by the workers. These are the very vague terms and phrasings that the people who want to project that they're with the workers, like Joe Biden, they say stuff like a fair deal. That is a loaded word, the word fair there. Because to me, a fair deal is a 45% increase. So fair from whose perspective? This is the selling that they keep selling to workers, that somehow workers and owners can both come out of these things where both of them are equally happy. That is not the case. This is the nonsense that people like this, and this, quite honestly, the progressive Democrats want you to believe. For what's fair for workers, the owners will absolutely not like, because what's fair is a 50% increase. That's what's fair. Because to be honest with you, the 36% that they're asking, that just brings them to current. The contract should be projecting to how they're going to be making money going forward. The contract that is a 4-year contract, it just brings them to current. So that's why the 30% brings you current. The other 14%, that's the raise. That's why I say, to me, a 50% increase is not at all ridiculous. That should be classified as fair, and they can afford it. Without raising the price of cars, they can afford it. So let's continue with this rank propaganda from Rokanda.
They still make out more money and they don't have to pay out as much.
And it's just because they were newer that they're in the second tier.
Created the second tiers, and they took all the money and gave it to the billionaires.
And what's the starting wage for supplemental?
Starting wage is $15.78.
That's crazy.
We gave up so much during the 08-09 recession.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. That's all he says. That's crazy.
You know, until the company get back on their feet, which they have been.
That's the key point, that you gave up almost half your wage to help this company survive during the recession. Correct. What do you want to see different?
Almost here, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a problem if you're making a product and you can't even afford that on yearly wage.
I would love to buy a Jeep, but I can't afford it. I have retirement. Most of the people on my team don't have a retirement pension.
So there are 3 different tiers. There's some who have the pension, some who don't, and then there's the temporary.
Right.
You can't have a country like that where you hollow out the working and middle class, where you ship jobs overseas, where you have corporate greed looking for the lowest wages. That's why we have so much anger in this country.
It's not a future to look forward to. There's no retirement here.
Do you have a pension?
No, I don't.
Everyone's paying attention to this in the Congress. So, as they should. Cost.
What does that do? You're paying attention to it in Congress. What does that do for them? Why don't workers, all of the workers, for example, all of the workers who are out there picketing, they live in somebody's district. If we have a representative government, why aren't your representatives out there, local, federal? Why aren't they out there? Why aren't they the ones calling these capitalists and tell them, you need to go out and do what my constituent wants? The point that I'm making, and I'm going to switch back to the MSNBC clip. The point that I'm making is this milquetoast sort of approach that is literally, we have 30, 40, 50 years of this milquetoast politicking. It's time for a militant approach. So that brings me back to the clip that I had earlier with the segment, what if the squad was militant like the Freedom Squad? So let's do this. Let's go back here, and it's the framing of corporate media is very suspect. It's crazy how they frame how democracy should work as this is the Wild Wild West. He can't get control of his Congress. Because he shouldn't be in control. The people should be in control. The way government, we're seeing what the Freedom Caucus is doing, putting the screws to the GOP and Kevin McCarthy, is how politics should work every single day. This is what the squad should be doing. And let's listen a little more to this segment and the examples. And I do want to go back now to what Matt Gaetz said, because why doesn't the left needs somebody, is it going back?
Voting another way that the House.
So let me actually move it forward here. I want to just get to Matt Gaetz' part. So let me replay Matt Gaetz, and you tell me, and then I have a question after that. So let's listen.
Told me a little bit ago.
There will not be sufficient Republican votes for a continuing resolution. Now, if we've got some of these moderate Republicans who want to go and join up with the Democrats, they will be signing their own political death warrant, and they will be handing it to their execution.
Now, let me give you the left version of this. Hypothetically, if we had militant people elected as part of the left, this should be AOC or Bernie saying, if anyone who's voting against Medicare for all, you're signing your own political death wish. That's why isn't Bernie Sanders and AOC saying like this, talking like this? Why is Matt Gaetz not afraid to do relational harm? AOC? Why is that? Let's continue.
And Gaetz also told me that he would personally go to New York to campaign against some of his own Republican colleagues.
He would go personally. Imagine AOC and Bernie Sanders saying, Joe Manchin, we're going to go personally to West Virginia and campaign against you if you vote against Medicare for all. Instead, he just sends out tweets and makes videos. Like he's just, a spectator. Let's listen a little more.
Colleagues, Republicans who are the majority makers, who can help them keep power in the House. So frustrations at an all-time high, and the House just paralyzed right now.
Yeah, just remarkable to see, and so many significant things here on the table. The narrowly divided House, Kevin McCarthy having a very difficult time navigating it. Melanie Zanata from the hallways in the House. Thank you for that. And here in the studio to share their reporting and their insights, CNN's Audie Cornish, CNN's Daniel Strauss, and Times' Molly Ball. So we've seen this movie before, but now we're in the prospects of a government shutdown in just a matter of.
Now you look at the table. You have you have Rana Maju, man of color. I think this whole table is identity politics all across the room. Got a black guy, black woman, two women, white woman. You would think, looking at this, I'm about to hear a discussion with people with different opinions. You would be sadly mistaken. All four of these people have the same opinion. This is what corporate news gives you. You see 6 people on the screen. Those are 6 people. They have the same opinion. Now, let's say if there's Democrats, you have the same opinion except for on culture wars. Let me change it. Except for the approved things that you can disagree on. Let's continue.
Of days, the speaker, after all this went down, vented his frustration to reporters.
Now, imagine if this is Nancy Pelosi talking, venting her frustration because damn, the AOC and Ilhan and Rashida Tlaib, god damn those women. This is her speaking.
Frustrating in the sense that I don't understand why anybody votes against bringing the idea and having the debate. And then you got all the amendments if you don't like the bill. This is a whole new concept of individuals that just want to burn the whole place down. It doesn't work.
This is a whole new concept of individuals who just want to burn the place down. That's literally what Nancy Pelosi should be saying. What are you willing to do in order to bring Medicare for all? What are you willing to do in order to cut the military budget? What are you willing to do? These things. Nothing. I'm sitting on my hands. Nothing gets passed, Nancy. Nope. Instead, we have people who. So, what do you think is going to win? Doing this to your speaker, your leader, or taking pictures on GQ magazines and calling her Mama Bear? Which one is the more effective strategy? We've seen it. We can see with our own eyes. We have evidence now since the Freedom Caucus have executed forced to vote. And the thing is, they probably listened to the left, have this huge debate over this in 2020 or whenever it was, in 2019. The conservatives, the Freedom Caucus was probably taking notes like, damn, yeah, that panel Katie Halper had. Oh, that's a good point, David Sombro. Oh, that's a good point, Jimmy Dore. Crystal Ball is making about force of vote. Yeah, if we did that, anybody has the DSA handbook that has this strategy? Go get it. And they're executing and ripping the benefits from their perspective. Let's go.
So viewers may have a hard time sorting out all the budget and spending issues they have to deal with here on the Hill. The issue that collapsed right now was a year-long bill to fund the Pentagon. Typically, Republicans all vote in lockstep for that bill. Typically, they also vote for the rule. That is the first procedural vote that has to happen. Typically, the majority party votes for it. This time, in what has now been a common practice among these hardliners, they are voting against moving forward on
using their power to get what they want. And you don't want to respond, leader, to what I want. What's up, Rome? You need me to join, or you needed some moment? You want me to put you in now? Okay. All right, I'm going to put him in now. What's up, man? You was watching and you saw something that triggered you, or what?
I've seen a couple of things.
Go ahead. Yeah. You got the floor, sir, if you wanted to chime in on some stuff, and then I'll get back to it.
Oh, no.
You just joined.
Because I wanted to hurry up. I wanted to hurry up and hop in before this one, for this segment started.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying is like this is just proof that is this really the best we can get the squad when Nina Turner, and I think of all the people on RBN Rome, I think I give Nina Turner the most benefit of the doubt, maybe me and JB, because I would have her on the show. I think there's a lot of agreement, and I think she's a person who could appreciate the perspective of that we give here. Like, I think she can appreciate it, even if she's not on board with it. I do think she has an ear that can appreciate what is said. But to say that they're the best that we got, this is the best that a people can ask for. Like, if I had Matt Gaetz as what else could I ask for? What more can I ask for? Like, if I wanted the things he wanted, now you got to flip it now. If I wanted the things he wanted, what better representative could I ask for that's going out there calling this motherfucker out, saying, you're going to get your ass, I'm going to vote your ass out. He's saying this on the floor. Mm-hmm. Why don't we have AOC and Ilhan Omar's doing the same thing with freaking Nancy Pelosi? This is like insanity to me, but let's get back to the clip and see what other points they make here. Let me finish this. Okay, here we go.
The rule, the process, as leverage to try to extract concessions, leaving McCarthy in a bit of a jam, quite a jam. How much trouble do you think the speaker is in right now?
First of all, I love that you're still reporting this out while you're sitting in that chair. You cannot stop. I was more intrigued by the fact that McCarthy said some people just want to burn it all down, like he's shocked, like he hasn't been around since 2012, 2014, 2018. So I don't know what the performance of shock is supposed to do, but clearly he is trying to figure out how to lead by exerting a kind of public pressure. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if it's working, basically.
Yeah, it's not, because he tried it. This happened earlier this week. It failed on the same bill. Again, this is the year-long bill. Never mind, we are less than 10 days away from having to pass a bill to fund the government. They're trying to do just a month-long stopgap measure to keep the government open for a month with a whole bunch of measures that have been demanded among the right flank of their party. They don't have the votes to get that out of the House at the moment, let alone getting in the Senate to the president's desk.
And there's another point right there. He just said, Rome, they don't even have the votes. Is that stopping them from doing their strategy?
Nope.
Because that's what AOC and them told us. That's what they told us. We don't have the votes to get Medicare for all. That's what Sam Cedar, that's even with Cenk. This interview he just went with Bree, he was saying the same thing. We didn't have the votes, but we might have the votes for a $15 minimum wage. Who cares if you have the vote? You execute the strategy regardless, because the strategy is to bring power to bear to your demands. And you're not going to do that calling her mama bear. That's simply not going to do. That's simply not going to do anything. But did you hear what Matt Gaetz said he's going to do if these rhinos? Let me play that part again, and then we can move on to the next part. This is what Matt Gaetz said he's going to do if any Republican, this is him talking to Republicans.
Listen to what he told me a little bit ago.
There will not be sufficient Republican votes for a continuing resolution. Now, if we've got some of these moderate Republicans who want to go and join up with the Democrats, they will be signing their own political death warrant, and they will be handing it to their executioner.
Why don't we have anybody on the left that's elected like that, Ron? Why not? Go ahead, sir.
I'm gonna have to agree.
Infuriating, man.
I'm gonna have to agree with Kyle Kulinski for once. This on the left, this is the best that we can get because the people elected on the left is here just to pull the people to the right. So this is the best that we're gonna get. We're not gonna have anybody calling out anybody by name, even if you're in the same party or you align yourself or whatnot. No. That's not their strategy. Their strategy is to use our language, walk like how we walk. So when we start paying attention, we start following them, they lead us to a back room to the Democratic Party. That's their strategy, but it doesn't matter if they had, like we have seen this multiple times. They had votes to do what the hell they wanted. They had the votes with Carter. They had the votes with Obama. They had the vote. They had the numbers with Clinton. They could have did anything that they wanted to. And what do they choose to do? They choose corporations over the people every time. This is their strategy, So this is the best that we can get. And as long as we have a two-party system, you're going to have people to the right outflanking the left. You're going to have that all the time, especially when it comes to stuff like foreign policy and whatever it may be. But these people don't want to stop the wars or stop the bullshit from they like America first, right? So they don't want to help these people. They just want all the money for us. They just want all the resources for us. They're like, fuck helping, Palestine, fuck helping Africa, the nations of Africa. We want all the money for us, but it still look like they are still out-lefting the left. And it's going to continue to happen. As long as we have two parties in the system, that's going back and forth. How else are you going to be able to fight? How else are you going to be able to strategize? Right? It ain't like you have a third party that you can align yourself with and hold some votes from. So yeah, this is the best that we can get. This is the best we ever going to get because of how corrupt the system is today and how corrupt it's going to be 100 years from now if we continue to go down this path.
That's actually a good perspective to have because that is true. So what Nina Turner is saying is true. Maybe she wasn't saying it with malice to trick us. Maybe she is saying, considering the system, this is all no Marxists, no Romes and Nicks is getting through to Congress. You get what I'm saying? That's never going to happen. So the best we're gonna get are these milquetoast, semi-withers, sometimes afraid and timid people. This is what we're going to get because this is the only people that the powers that be are even willing to even allow on the kids' table. Like, it's a grown man. Bernie Sanders is treated like a damn infant. He damn near 80 years old. He is literally treated, whatever, Bernie, go over there and be a good boy and make sure you go campaign for Joe Biden, even though they're throwing your ass under the bus, calling out socialism and all type of stuff. Yes, and I'm gonna veto Medicare for all is just truly disturbing here. But all right, let's get off that topic. Go ahead. Go ahead.
These people, like a lot of people try to say, oh, well, I believe that they got threatened and, they must have threatened their families. And no. A real fighter will fight to the death. A true leader will fight to the death. So if this is your leader and they let a couple of death threats get to them, they're not a fighter. They're not a leader, right? Oh, okay.
Imagine if Malcolm X stopped because he got a death threat. Imagine if MLK stopped if he got a death threat, man.
What they did was they sold you out. They sold you out. And maybe they didn't even sell you out. Maybe you sold yourself short. Maybe you maybe you had this illusion of solidarity with somebody who don't even know your first name or the district that you even live in, if you live in their district or not. You have built this relationship, this illusion of a relationship with this politician, and you played your damn self because they never had the intentions on a Marxist revolution, a socialist revolution, a workers' revolution. It was a political revolution. A political revolution for who? For them, to get their job, to get their seats, to take over that moderate wing of the Democratic Party. That was their revolution. And yeah, you get nothing out of it.
Happy you joined, sir. We're gonna move on to the next part. And first part is first thing I should say up next. Let's do a couple of announcements. Hit that like button. We're about to hit 400 people watching. We only got 167 likes, so the target is 375 likes. We got plenty people watching right now to get us to that target. And as always, Rome, or now since we've gotten our merch, I'm trying to shout this shit out every day. So let me shout out our merch, RBN merch. I'm proud of this shit. I can't wait till we get the Kiss the Commie shirt. That's coming.
Yeah.
So everybody been waiting for that shirt. That shirt is coming. But just again, here's some of our merchandise right here. Of course, our signature shirt. I think it's great. Let me this hoodie right here. I'm gonna get right here, Rome.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that t-shirt and that hoodie.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to debate if I should get it in green just to be different because I know everybody's gonna get it in black.
I'm getting black, yeah.
But that black look too.
Yeah.
It's real clean right there.
Yeah, I got like 5 pair of shoes that go with that black hoodie.
I like this one too, so maybe I'll go red. I just can't wear it in certain neighborhoods.
Nah.
Maybe I will go red. Maybe I will go red. I just can't go to certain old city spots. I can't go back to Treetop.
Go back to the hood. That shit.
Yeah, Treetop. I can't go back to the Treetop part of Compton. That's where DJ Quick is from. But yeah, you can go here. You can see mugs. We got Completely Unserious. We got Abolished Police mug. We got some gift cards. We got another Abolished Police. Vote Blue, no matter who, is for morons. I think we probably changed that to dummies. Vote Blue, no matter who, is for dummies. We got an ACAP mug. All of these graphics, they're on different merchandise. So whatever you see on these mugs, we also have them in tote bags. The same graphics. And then we have the same graphics in shirts. And then different colors in the shirts and the sweaters and the tees and the tanks. So
we definitely need some hammer and sickles because I think the hammer and sickle is going to sell. Just a plain ass hammer and sickle on something is going to sell, especially on a tote bag. Like I would go shopping. I don't even use a damn tote bag. I go shopping just to use that damn tote bag, just to get on the motherfucker's nerve.
I think I might get that for like my daughters. Like if we go somewhere and they need to carry something. The NATO one was another popular one. That's another one probably going to get in the yellow. I think it goes good with the blue, or maybe I'll get it in the powder blue. We'll see. But if you like any of these items, make sure you go to our website. It's scrolling down at the bottom. Actually, let me go there.
Oh shit! I just got a great idea.
What's up? You want me to stay on the merchandise or to go to the website?
Yes. Maybe I'm gonna talk to you after this because I don't want nobody else.
Okay, something else. Okay. All right, so here's our website, everybody. Make sure you check it out. Lots of the merchandise, which is right here, top right-hand corner. That's the newest item, but you can go here and check out the library, the RBN library, which is still, it's a lot further than the pictures here, and we're gonna update the pictures. Can you imagine this, Ron? Look at this picture right here, man. man, that shit is completely different now. Like that shit don't look nothing like that at all.
The only thing is the same when that building is that motherfucking mailbox.
Oh, so you don't have this air conditioning right here no more?
Yeah, I still got it there. I have replaced it, but then it was still short. It was still too small, so birds kept getting in. So I had to get Connie. Connie kept on killing down birds. So I just gotta, I gotta replace it again. I gotta find it costs like $350, the one that they want. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Not right now.
Man, here, look at this, Rome. I don't know how long ago you have seen these. Oh, these are real old because you're still renovating, but this is like when you got the windows put in. Oh no, we do have some pictures of when it was painted. So maybe I did send some to my sister.
Yeah,
maybe I think you emailed
them.
I think you emailed them. Yeah, you emailed them to her. Yeah, man, this is dope right here. This is dope. All right, so then it repeats. All right, so yeah, anything to shout out real quick before we get while we're in announcements before we get back to the segment? Anything you want to just mention or shout out or anything? What you doing next? Like what are you working on? Are you
I'm working on two
campaign?
things right now. The clinic in Boston. Right now I need hygiene products, feminine products, pads, douches, and whatever it may be, tampons and stuff like that. We need a big bunk of that shit. It's very expensive, so I don't expect people to give much. Just give what you can if you can. And the last fundraiser for the library is actually going to be up to date. This is it. If we can reach our goal on this last fundraiser, I should have the building open next month. Probably the same time I'm going to be in Boston, but CT will be there and whatever. So hopefully we have a grand opening for the clinic and the library on the same day. But if I can reach the goal, I think it's gonna be like 12K. I got to talk it over with my peoples again. If we can reach that goal, this is it. This is all the plumbing, electricity, the lights. Rest of the lights gonna be up. The carpet. I can finally afford to put it down. We're gonna build a wall that's gonna separate the entrance so people can't just walk in and bum rush or whatever the fuck it may be, look in my fucking building and whatever. But this is it. So that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I saw the bookshelves and people have been sending you books. Have you been accepting books? Because I know we got a couple of emails of people saying, hey, I got a bunch of books I want to donate, militant books. I don't know if you've been accepting them yet, but
yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. And I saw some of the pictures. We're gonna get all those pictures added to the website just so everybody can see the progression, because people gonna want like all the money that was donated. Look at what you did. Look at what you helped. You know what I'm saying?
What I gotta do is I gotta take the camera downstairs in the basement so people can see the basement to the upstairs to the roof. You know what I'm saying? Because it was leaks in the roof. When we got the roof fixed, it was another leak in my fucking roof. And when I tore down the ceiling, my fucking shit pipe fell down. So I had another hole in the roof. It's always something. You fix something else breaks. It's like a lemon car, but you just got to keep on going, man. You got to keep at it. The money I spent on labor enough would fucking blow the socks off you niggas. Like, and it was just me and a couple of other people, but we had transferred that thing. Like everything is new in there. Everything from the walls, some of the boards on the floor, the ceiling tiles, windows. We redid the whole ceiling in the kitchen. Kitchen floor had a big ass hole in it. Like you can literally walk in that kitchen and just fall in it and sue the fuck out of me if you wanted to. But all that is fixed. All of that is fixed. Right now I'm working on baying out the window, because the original window they had it cut off. They put it in the ceiling, but they had it cut off. And I'm like, where the fuck is the rest of this window? So I dig in the ceiling and I see the rest of the window. I'm like, okay, well, let's just knock this shit down, redo this the right way. It was a lot, man. It was a lot. It took a year. It was damn near, it'd be a year, October 12th, I believe, when I first started working on this project.
And you built all 4 of these bookshelves, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
Shit. That's the easy part.
And these are some of the books that people already donated. You already have them up on the shelf. That's cool.
Yep. I got some up on the shelf. Some still gonna be in boxes. Like right now, I just be using those for my propaganda. Like if I build another one or whatnot, I'll move them to the next one and whatever it may be. If I have to take a picture over there, but I'm trying not to get them all dusty and dirty for right now. So I'll set them to the side as much as possible.
Right on. And what is this video of right here? You showing it to work or something?
No. That's for the clinic. Okay.
All right. So yeah, we shouted that out, and we're gonna do some more announcements a little bit later for those that are getting this information late. Like if you just joined, because we're about to get back to the stories now, and we don't have any super chats. So let's get to our next story, Rome, and let me bring this up here. All right, so
I got it.
Somebody said what?
Somebody said Rome is a nice man is a smart man with a nice wall. Then somebody else said Rome breaking in the Bucks with them Nike sponsors. Shit, I wish, man. I wish if I can get a Nike sponsorship, man, all of my shit would be up. I mean, the Garden. I wouldn't be asking y'all for money right here. I wish.
Yeah. All right, so let's do a little bit of an update for the UA strike. So let's do an update here. I want to play this video. This is More Perfect Union. They have a deadline, and this is kind of just like a segment. It's not really a segment I had prepared, but I forgot I didn't do this last time, and we want to try to give these updates anytime they're doing strikes. Rome, I feel like we are the reporters for this. This is what we're here for, like to report on strike stuff, or at least push for more strikes. So let's just look at what's the latest on the UAW strike. One thing I do know, there is a new deadline, and that's tomorrow. I believe is at noon. 3 p.m. If they do not meet this deadline, I mean there's not an offer in place, they're going to go ahead and open and tell more locations to strike. Right now, there's only 3 locations striking. They're going to open up more this Friday, tomorrow, if that deadline is not met. But let's listen to this video to set the ground, the foundation for the conversation here. Let's listen.
That parking lot is normally full Monday through Friday. Now it's empty due to the fact that we are on strike. We are fighting for what we deserve.
You can't expect these workers to make cars they can't afford to buy. This is just not about the UAW. This is about all active employees across the United States, because what happens here will happen everywhere.
It's been a long time coming. It's history in the making.
No deal, no wheels.
For the first time in history, the United Auto Workers Union is striking against all big 3 automakers at once.
About 12,700 workers committed to a...
Now, there has been some criticism, Rome. I'm not sure if you've heard it. There's been criticism about the strike strategy where they're striking some, like, for example, I said there's only 3 plants right now out of all the workers. So there's about, I think it's 14,000 people it covers out of 150,000 or close to 150,000 workers. So there's been some criticism. But we heard, and when I reported on this criticism by one of the workers, there's a UAW worker. His name is Will Lehman. He's a Marxist. He was running for UAW president last year. He almost came close. So he's one of the people that has a critique for this strategy. But I did see Maximilian Alvarez report on, give an update, and basically saying, he just did the math. And William Lehman alludes to this. He says, when I was reporting, he said, the reason we don't have enough strike fund because the leadership in the union rated it to pay themselves, Rome.
Of course.
Right. So Maximilian did the math, and he said this is basically how it works, and this is why they're doing this strategy. It basically costs $75 million to pay each worker, 150,000 workers, $500 a week out of the strike fund, and that's what every worker gets. So 75 million and you got 800 million, that only gives you about 11 weeks of strike.
Yeah.
So the idea was then the capitalists just wait us out for 10 weeks. If they know all we got is 800 million, they just wait us out. So the idea was have some people still, the bulk of the people in the beginning still working, getting paid for their work, not pulling from the strike fund, and it started out slowly where you're pulling some out of the strike fund so you can prolong it. So I understand if that's the strategy, it sounds logical, but still the question has to be answered. Why is the strike? What did the strike fund have more money in it? And where did that money go? If William is bringing up a question of that, so I get that. I get that. Yeah. So, all right. So let's get back to the video. I just wanted to make that clear for everybody.
A work stoppage at 3 locations.
The UAW is demanding pay raises of more than 40% for its members to match the pay raises of CEOs of the companies.
The strike became official overnight when that midnight deadline hit without a deal.
All of you know that there was once a time.
What the fuck this nigga doing here?
I don't know. I'm going to give this guy grace only because he was out there on the 15th. Now everybody's out there. Even Ro Khanna. I just did a story previously. Ro Khanna's ass was out there, man. You got some audacity going out. So Ro Khanna's out there. So I want to give him a slightly. At least Bernie was the first one out there on the picket lines of an elected leader. That still doesn't take away the fact that he's still propping up the Democratic Party that crushed strikes.
Bernie,
One
Bernie
doesn't
is
take
only there to make sure that he can crush those strikes. Like Bernie, people always talk about Bernie. Oh, he was walking with the strikers. Like, dude, he has a trail of dead unions and dead strikes in his fucking path. Like, look at his path.
So you're saying he's like an infiltrator.
We don't hear anything from these people anymore. We barely hear anything about the $15 an hour people anymore. He just left them in the fucking dust. He has a trail of dead unions and dead strikers in his fucking path. Fuck Bernie Sanders.
So you look at it as he is the infiltrator for the ruling party. Hey,
because
they trust you. Go over there in the labor movement.
You gonna send Matt Gaetz over there? You gonna send Joe Manchin over there? You gonna send him? Come on, man. You know we're gonna send our mouthpieces, AOC, Bernie Sanders, or if that's too progressive or too left leaning, we can send Elizabeth Warren or whatever it may be. Use the mouthpieces that we got to get these people up under us. So when people look at it, they're not looking at it as from a worker's perspective. They're looking at it as a Democrat or Republican type thing. So now you have motherfuckers that's working for these unions and for these places that probably don't align politically with Bernie and don't want nothing to be done. Don't want to be seen with this motherfucker. Don't want to do any work with him. Rightfully so. Yeah. All these people do is break up workers, break up strikers, and alienate our workers amongst themselves, especially when it comes to politics. This is the first thing that we should have is politics to the side and politicians in the fucking back.
So let's listen. Here's another. Nikki Haley has something to say about the striking workers. So let's listen to this. This is kind of making its rounds on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it, Ron, but she's getting dragged for this. Let's listen.
Well, I think that's it tells you that when you have the most pro-union president and he touts that he is emboldening the unions, this is what you get. And I'll tell you who pays for it is the taxpayers. You know, here, from what I understand, the union is asking for a 40% raise. The companies have come back with a 20% raise. I think any of the taxpayers would love to have a 20% raise.
You see, and this is so slimy how they do this, because it's like this, Rome. You starve somebody, and then you go. If you have a room full of starving people, so you go from no food to having a little shot glass of rice. You get what I'm saying? Then you try to make seem like this little shot glass of rice is now the marker. So you go, you got 2 shot glasses of rice, bitch. It's still 2 shot glasses. You trying to act like it's because it's in comparison of the first shot glass, and that's what she's saying right here. And I'll rewind for her to make this point.
And why the hell
Let's
is
let her
she
make it
talking
again.
like that? Like she talking like she's slimy.
Yeah. So let's listen.
You get, and I'll tell you who pays for it is the taxpayers. You know, here, from what I understand, the union is asking for a 40% raise. You know, the companies have come back with a 20% raise. I think any of the taxpayers would love to have a 20%.
Yes. See, this is what she's saying. So if you didn't get the analogy I'm making, let me just say it this way. This is what she's saying. The vast majority of people would love a 20% raise, and they would, Rome, because they're being exploited.
Yeah.
You see how they phrase this? Like, you're wanting way more than the vast majority would be fine with this. That's because you're exploiting them. So if you give them more, of course they would want that, Nikki. So that's not a point, is basically what I'm saying. That's not a point to be like, oh, check, I just dropped the mic. You didn't drop the mic. You're comparing it to slavery. Like, what are you saying? Like, saying like you have it way better compared to your grandma. You talking about my slaves? You're like, what are you comparing this shit to? But let's get back to it.
But, you know, the problem is we're all gonna suffer from this. This is gonna cause things to go up, and you know, this is gonna last a while.
What is the what?
Go ahead.
So workers getting more money causes things to go up. Okay, so we have been at the same federal minimum wage since like what, 2005?
Right.
2007-ish. What is the reason for these things going up now? What is the reason why I'm paying 40% more for my gas? Do you know how crazy it is that I'm putting $55 in a 2011 Honda
That's
Civic?
Insane. It would be $75 out here, Rome. You've been out here. When you was out here.
What is the excuse? What is the excuse? What is it? The Putin inflation? Is the Putin hike, or is what you gonna blame it on now? Because we have been working for the same wage. We have been working the same wages for many generations now, and it has done nothing but gone up. Housing has gone up. Food has gone up. Healthcare is out of reach for normal Americans. What is the excuse? What is the excuse? Oh, you know what? Who's gonna pay more? The boss is gonna pay more, not us. This is who she's talking for. Oh, we're gonna have to pay more. She's talking about the fucking elite. She's talking about the niggas that's not in our tax bracket. Can't be talking about me because I'm already paying more for shit I ain't even fucking have shit nothing to do with.
That's such a great point, Rome, and I didn't even think of it that way. Let's get it because it's like, so you're blaming, oh, we raise wages, somehow that's going to raise prices. Then what is the excuse for our wages hasn't been raised? So what's raising prices now? And why can those things raise prices, but wages for us can't raise prices? Right. You get what I'm saying? Like, how can billionaires' profits go up, and that's a reason to raise prices, or your stockholders, but raising prices for workers to get more money, that's not okay. It's all the framing that I like to break down around this length, because people listen to this stuff and they don't understand everything. Literally every word she's saying is a slanted capitalist perspective, and I'm gonna give you an example right here.
From this is going to cause things to go up,
and I was going to stop it in the same place as you, because it is an automatic thing that in a capitalist society we have been conditioned to believe cost of something else means that the owner needs to raise prices on us. That is a owner slave mentality that we bought into, that we think that because it costs more for you that you can afford, you Scrooge bitch. You think you just gonna recoup that shit from us. Why isn't Rome? Why isn't Nikki saying you capitalists better not fucking try to recoup this money after the workers get their fair share, you bitch ass motherfuckers? Like, why isn't that the case? Why isn't that the framing of the conversation? I wish. Nigga, we need to have like a Marxist TV, man. Like, just saying what we want to say. I'm guaranteed we be having a bunch of people watch that shit.
Oh yeah.
If they would have to freaking suppress it like they're suppressing us on here. But let's listen to the rest of what she has to say.
this is going to last a while. But, when you have a president that's constantly saying, go union, this is what you get. The unions get emboldened, and then they start asking for things that, that companies have a tough time doing. And so
So it's a bad thing that he's
Rome. This is what I hate
so
about
she basically
this.
saying this is what happens when you get a mouse a cookie. This is the story of giving a mouse a cookie,
Yes.
right? He's gonna ask this, he's gonna ask that.
Yes.
This is basically what she's saying about us. She's saying that we are mouse, we are roaches, and we should have been on a leash. He should have never been geeking up our head, showing us that he has our back, and you know what I'm saying, that we can fight for more. Even though Joe, that is the rhetoric is different from his actions, so he can say he's the most pro-union, but nigga, that don't make any sense when I see that you crushed the railroad strike. It could have been the biggest strike in the history of America. You giving contracts to strike breakers like Jeff Bezos. How is that pro-union? But this is how they treat. This is how they look at us. They saying, hey, don't get that muscle cookie because then he's gonna ask for your soul.
Right. That's how they look at it. That's literally how they look at it. I mean, it literally, and I'm gonna start using the reference of Scrooge because that's literally how American capitalists, that's their outlook, is how Scrooge is. And when you think of the Scrooge story, what is he? He didn't want to give pennies, and you come to work, and I don't care about your family. Tiny Tim, fuck your Tiny Tim handicap ass son. Bring your ass to work over here on Christmas. That's how capitalists view it. And then when he was not, and you know what he does in the story? I'm nice one day of the year. Now I'm good. I'm benevolent. That is literally how capitalists think. Oh, I went on Thanksgiving. I fed them on Thanksgiving, and now I'm freaking. I'm benevolent. Now I'm godlike because I helped you on one day, and I'm gonna fuck you up on 364 other days of the year, except for this one day.
Because he still have done nothing about the buzzsaws that's in the fucking waters that's killing the migrants that's coming over from the countries that we have been bombing and raping for generations now. He has done nothing about none of the promises that he had kept. Like the only promise that he kept was nothing will fundamentally change. But you know what? I can't even say that because a lot of shit did fundamentally change for the worse. For the fucking poor. But for the rich, they got richer during the pandemic. They gained as much money as we lost. They had to do a study on why is eggs so high? Why is tissue so high? Because they just raised them to be that high. There's no reason why it should be that high. Right. We still are producing we still are producing the same shit around the same time. There is no droughts. They are just holding shit from you and rising up the price because they fucking can. And there is no government to hold them accountable because they already been paid off before the prices was already rose.
Exactly. And here is Shama Sawant chiming in about the UAW strike. She calls out Ro Khanna for his phony virtue signaling showing up at the damn strike. All of them showed up, man. Just everybody pretending like they're down with this shit. Jamal Bowman at the damn climate thing, that God. Fucking sellout ass. Let's listen, man. That guy, man, I covered it yesterday. That guy is fucking terrible.
And I heard that you had a chance to talk to Congressmember Ro Khanna. Just for our viewers, Ro Khanna is a rising star in the Congressional Progressive Caucus. He, like, unfortunately, virtually all the progressives, actually, I should say, voted to break the railroad workers strike, including the chair of the Progressive Caucus, Pramila Jayapal. So what did Ro Khanna have to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bold for someone who voted to break a railroad strike to come out here to a picket line. A picket line that would have been much stronger if rail workers had gone out on strike, if they had won a much stronger contract, if they had won these demands for 14 paid sick days or even more. Fighting for the safety that they needed to prevent disasters like in East Palestine, which happened here in the state of Ohio, where Toledo workers are on strike right now. So, I think it is pretty rich for him to come out here to this picket line after taking such an anti-union position. Of course, politicians are coming out of the woodwork to present as if they support auto workers. The question, though, that workers here are asking, it's great that politicians are coming out. It's great that they're, saying these kind of vague statements. But what we really need is for them to stand firmly with us. Otherwise, none of it really matters.
Biden has not even come close to doing enough. If he really backs us, he needs to step.
Now, we watched the Ro Khanna video, and they had all kind of bullshit in the video. And I was like, why doesn't he have people in here saying shit like this? Like this guy right here. Ro Khanna got all this soft little milk toast trying to make himself be down with the workers. Why aren't you going around shaking hands saying, I broke the last strike?
He's doing a campaign ad. He's doing a campaign ad. He's not there for the workers. He's there for his looks. For the next time he's ready to run, he have his his little I support the workers video, and probably go throw on a fucking hard hat and pick up a damn screwdriver for the first time.
He pick it up like, what is this? That is a screwdriver, Ro. All right, let's listen.
Stop putting out these blank statements of just saying he backs us. He needs to in verbatim repeat what we need. He needs to say word for word. If we're asking for a 40% raise, he needs to come out and say give them a 40% raise, because you come out and just say we're going to get record profits.
Right. That's the same thing I was saying in the segment about Ro Khanna. Like, they coming out here and always saying these vague little platitudes that anybody, like if you say a fair deal, what you have as fair in your head, Rome, and what I have in fair are completely two different things. But this is what politicians do. They use these language, these words that everybody has a different interpretation, because what's fair to me, Rome, is that they get 36% on top of 14%, which equals 50% increase. 36% brings them to current, meaning like if they were getting cost of living, they would be at 33% would bring where they should be today. But your contract, Rome, moving forward is looking forward. So that's the other 14% is for inflation that is coming ahead of us. That's why they should be getting 50%. So if we're saying, if he uses the word fair, in my head, I'm saying fair. Do you think 50%? Do you think Ro Khanna, when he says fair, do you think he says 50%?
He don't want them to get what they're getting right now. If it was up to Ro Khanna, he'd break their damn strike. Man, no. Fair would be like 10% increase. That would be fair enough just to get you guys through the holidays, and maybe we can go strike again. I can take another fucking picture with you fucking idiots.
It's just terrible, man. And then, or are you gonna send it to Ukraine? That's what I would have said if I was down there. Oh, are you gonna send this money to Ukraine, Ro Khanna?
Because what's really fair is the owners giving up the ownership into a co-op for the workers. Now that is more than fair. They have made record profits. They are, they can live 3-4 times and never spend that money that they have right now, even if they quit being a CEO or a CFO or a COO, whatever the fuck their position may be. What's fair is to release the plant to the workers so they can run and make the profit off of there. That's what's fair. And now we can actually control and see what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? And the insides and outs and how much money are what we actually raking in. Now, that's fair in my head, because I'm not negotiating with a capitalist. I feel like, of course, strikers, they have to strike. Everybody ain't fucking Marxist, but I really feel like if this fails, if they don't get the deal that they want, I think what's fair is for the workers to burn down the plant. I think what's fair is for the workers to burn down the boss's houses and steal his cars and let him go through what they're going to be going through in the near future. I think what's fair is the CEOs living the same exact life as the motherfucking workers. So a co-op will be the best thing for Jeep, for Chrysler, for Ford. And you know what's so crazy about Ford? These motherfuckers slick. Like my brother-in-law worked for Ford. I had put an application in for Ford 2 years ago. 2 years ago. They just hit me back. I wonder why. I just got an email from Ford, right? So they want me to come in and be a scab. They want me to come in and scab for these people because they're standing up for their rights. No, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and work this out. And if this deal goes through, I'll sign an application. No problem. No fucking problem. But you know, back to the fair. Yeah, I think it's only right that the people has had enough. We're negotiating now. We're going to negotiate again. We're going to negotiate again because the more we push, the harder they push back. And sometimes we don't win that the tug of war. Sometimes we don't win the shove and match. Sometimes we don't. Then we're back to ground zero. So, you know, what's fair is the workers actually and the unions actually joining up as one. Railroad strikers, you know, UAW, auto workers, the care, home care workers. All of us need to be up under one union with one goal: co-op the workplace. That's it. Nothing negotiating with these capitalists because that's all we're gonna do. My parents is doing this. My grandparents is doing this. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not about to talk to these fucking capitalists about what I deserve. You think that nigga give a fuck? They over here talking about you get enough. Why they over here in their fucking yacht, the third yacht, on the Pacific Ocean somewhere with strippers sniffing cocaine? I'm not negotiating with nobody like that. You can't talk to nobody. You can't negotiate with a terrorist. You can't negotiate with a goddamn psychopath who can see that his workers can't even afford to buy the cars that they are fixing. And be like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I asked I remember I will never forget this conversation. I asked my nephew, I'm like, he's like, I don't know about the communist stuff, man. I'm like, well, you know, think about it, man. How many cars do y'all push out a day? He like, shit, it depends, like 3,000, 5,000, shit, and good weekend, 10,000, I'm like 10,000 cars. I'm like, okay, well, shit, that's a lot of cars, man. How much you getting paid? It's like, you know, like $12 an hour, blah, blah. I was like, how many cars have they given you? Yeah. Like, how many cars have they given you? None. It's like, don't you feel like you deserve at least a car to get back and forth to work? While they have, you know, just parking lots full of them, they can't sell them because they're crappy fucking cars because the workers don't even pay enough to even give a fuck about building them. So you don't feel like you deserve, you don't feel like you deserve more. You feel like this is enough. You making it by, you know, and I know that you stand in your mama's basement. This is it. Like, no, you deserve better. If they got what they got, then you deserve even more because there's no way, even your CEO, your boss, whatever the fuck he may be, he can't come on the line and do what you do. You're gonna have to come in and teach him what not to press, what not to go over. You know what I'm saying? Don't put your hand in this. These fucking people, they have no idea how to run that fucking business. They have no idea what it takes, the blood, sweat, and tears that we have shed over the years just to try to feed our family off these paychecks.
Yeah, spot on, Rome. And let's move to the next segment. Again, everybody hit that like button. We just crossed over 400 people watching right now, so the target is still 375. I'll let you know where we're at in just a second, but we're going to be going to the next story, which is the Sarah Ashton-Cirillo story. And if you don't know her by name, once I put her up, you will. Oh, we're at 261. Come on, everybody. That's
Man,
more
like
than
this damn video.
That's more than 100 more people that need to hit that like button. Got 400 people watching. Let me throw this on the screen. This is the next topic here.
Oh man,
this is Sarah.
hold on. Let me go get a cigarette.
Yeah, do you? This is Sarah, and she recently got suspended, and I'm going to tell you why. Actually, I'm going to play the video, and you'll see why she got suspended. But before we do that, let me do a couple of more announcements and make some check the super chat thing real quick. become a Patreon subscriber. We have 5 tiers. I think there's one for each member. It has a special name. I forget what mine is. And then you can also create a tier. And I think the lowest you can do is $2. So if you want to be a Patreon member, support RBN, lowest is probably $2 a month. There is Patreon. Become a Patreon member. That's the best way to support us on a regular basis. Here is our website. Make sure you check out our website. You can check out our merchandise there. And the last thing I shout out for this break is our Substack. Join our Substack so you know when we go live. You know when the clips will be emailed to you, and you can just go to your inbox, your email inbox, and watch all the videos in one email if you like. So join our Substack to get all of that. All right, now let's get into this story here. This is Sarah Ashton-Cirillo. I think that's how you say her name. And it's scrolling there at the bottom. Now, she was recently... Now, I didn't know this until this story happened, but I didn't know she was officially the spokesperson for this organization. I think it's called TDF. I didn't know she was the official spokesperson for that. But apparently she was the official spokesperson, which is why it's making news that she has been suspended. I always thought this was clownish because when you watch the video she does, it's very SNL-like. I thought it was a sketch. I didn't think this was serious at first, but I guess not this particular one, but just her in general. I thought it was a sketch, but this is serious. And let's listen to the video or a section of the video because this is not the whole stream. Let's listen to the part that got her in trouble right here.
Russia's war criminal propagandists will all be hunted down and justice will be served as we in Ukraine are led on this mission by faith in God, liberty, and complete liberation.
You think this is a joke? It's not, Rom. It's not.
Why do all the psychopaths have some type of God that's telling them to go and kill some people? Why don't your God tell you to stop wars and save people and
yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying? Go farm some animals or some shit. What is wrong with these people?
Where's y'all God of peace? Why y'all don't have a God of peace? Only a God of war. Let's listen to this again, then we'll break it down.
Russia's war criminal propagandists will all be hunted down and justice will be served as we in Ukraine are led on this mission by faith in God, liberty, and complete liberation.
Like I said, I it's no way for me to take this person seriously, and people who were taking her seriously, I'm gonna pray for you. I just don't understand, and I'm not even a person who prays, but you need something because this doesn't make any sense. Let's go to this tweet though. It gives a little more detail, Rome, right here. It's a thread. This is Comrade Misty. Shout out to Comrade Misty. When you're so extra, even the Nazis are like, okay, that's enough. Because she was unhinged in that video. So this is literally them. So the defense of Ukraine tweeted this. This is the announcement of Sarah being suspended. Junior Sergeant Sarah Ashton-Cirillo, or Cirillo, maybe it's Cirillo or Cirillo, has been suspended from the duties of spokesperson of the TDF, and the TDF is the Ukraine Territorial Defense, and it has another name. So this is an official place while an investigation is underway. And here is the breakdown. It says, in a statement of commander of the Territorial Defense for Forces of Armed Forces of Ukraine regarding some statements of the spokesperson of the TDF, Junior Sergeant Sarah Cirillo. The statement of Junior Sergeant Sarah Cirillo in recent days were not approved by the commander of the TDF or the commander of the AFU. When conducting military operations, the aggressor, the Defense of Forces Ukraine, strictly observed the norms of international humanitarian law. This is them trying to clean up what she said.
That's some fucking bullshit. Yeah. Ukraine literally have a kill list.
That's true.
They have a kill
and Wyatt
list
Reed,
official.
who has been on the show.
So yeah.
And to my knowledge, RBN hasn't made that kill list yet, but a lot of people we know, like Max Blumenthal, like Wyatt Reed, came on the show and was talking about how he was on the kill list. And here's the last tweet. The commander of the TDF will conduct an official investigation into the circumstances of these statements. Appropriate decisions would be taken. Sergeant Sarah Ashton-Cirillo will be suspended immediately pending the investigation. Is this your first time hearing this? And did you know this person, Sarah, was the official spokesperson, had an official capacity? I didn't know that.
I didn't know she was an official spokesperson, but I watch a lot of shit that's going on in the war, so her face is very familiar to me, and this is not the first time that she has said something like this. That's why I'm surprised that they suspended her, because this is like probably her 7th time being on record.
Oh, she said something crazy?
Yeah, she always get online saying some crazy shit. I remember when they had her on the front line and she was saying some of the same shit. That's why I'm like, okay, well, what's the problem now? What is the problem now? Because y'all got a little backlash on the internet? Because when she was on the front line saying the same shit, that we're gonna hunt down the Russian propagandists and shit like that, they promoted her. They promoted her from the front line to a sergeant. Now she's back on the front line.
Rome, let me tell you something, bro. And I think I might have mentioned this before. Do you understand this person, Sarah Ashton, almost was on RBN? Do you know that?
What?
This person, yeah, I have the DM. This person DM'd me over a year ago, maybe close to 2 years ago. Remember when I was doing the populist voice and I had all those panels and I was bringing them on RBN and back and forth? Yeah. She reached out to be one of the panel people. And I, had dialogue with her. I didn't know this was the person at the time until I went back and looked at the name. I'm like, this is the same exact person. And it was some other news, not today's news. It was some other news that dropped about her. And I was like, what? That looks like the same person that DM'd me. And that was her. This is the same. And I didn't catch it at the time because when she DM'd me, I guess I didn't know she was viral. I didn't know. I thought she was a random person. And since I didn't recognize you, like wasn't like, wow, who is this? Wow, I can't believe you're hitting me up. Like I wasn't all in awe. I was just like, whatever. And she was like, you should Google my name. I'm known. I went viral for this, this, and this. And I was like, what? Yeah. She told me all this in a DM. But anyway, so we dodged a bullet there, not getting her on a panel. Because I can imagine freaking Vanguard. Look at RBN. They had Sarah on this propaganda.
Dodged the bullet with that shit, boy.
Yeah, like she was on one of the panels. But let me read a little bit of this article. Newsweek, Ukraine suspends transgender spokesperson after fight with Republican. I don't think it's not needed to say transgender, in my opinion, but this is Newsweek. This is a conservative outlet, so they're conservative, and I'm sure that's why they included it. But let's continue after this pop-up is gone. All right. Ukraine military announced on Wednesday that it has suspended a U.S.-born spokesperson while an investigation is being conducted about recent comments she made. Junior Sergeant Sarah Cirillo, who is transgender, came to Ukraine in March 2022 as a journalist, but she was inspired to enlist in the armed forces of Ukraine after witnessing the invasion launched by Russian President Vladimir Zelensky, February 2022. She first served as the combat medic before being named the official spokesperson of the Territorial Defense Forces of Ukraine. Now, I'm going to pause here, and that's all really I needed to read. I don't need to really go dive much else into the story. But this is so weird how a person literally goes from wanting to be on a RBN network to being a medic over in Ukraine to now being a spokesperson in some sort of official capacity What kind of clown show are they running?
Niggas will do whatever for fame, bro. Like they will do whatever.
Yeah, they will.
Ever to keep that 15-minute going. But yeah, it don't surprise me, man, because a lot of people on the left look at Kyle Kalinske now. He was doing some shit for your governor.
Yeah.
So
I
we
can't
all know
believe
how much of a piece of shit Newsom is, you know. So it don't surprise me when I see these people who always want a camera in front of their face or want to be in the spotlight and whatnot. I'm pretty sure she's gonna find some way to crawl back into a camera and be the voice of something again. You know, it really don't surprise me at all.
Yeah, because when fame is your addiction, it doesn't matter what form you get the fame. So whether it was going to be on RBN or whether it was going to be, doing something else, because the thing she told me to look her up about her being viral, that was another thing. It had nothing to do with any of the things we're talking about. She was viral for a completely different thing, and that was it. She was chasing fame, and that's what this person is doing. But that's
I'm pretty sure she talked her way into being a spokesperson for Ukraine, seeing how the West is ideology wise, and we more accepting of trans views or gay views and whatnot. She probably was like, it'll be a better outlook if you was to have me reaching out and talking for Ukraine. So it would show that we have solidarity, and it'll kick back all these rumors that you guys are Nazis, that you hate women, that whatever, or you hate gay people or trans people, whatever it may be. It'd be a better outlook. But yeah, she's gonna talk her way into another piece of fame somewhere, some way. Yeah. They always do. I mean, look at Candace Owens. Candace Owens
she's one of them too.
She sued some motherfucker because of racism, and now she telling other black people and white people that racism isn't a big thing. Like, come on, man, these people ain't serious.
It's a grift, and you see it a lot. All right, let's move to the next topic. The next topic we're going to be covering before we get to the Cornel West, because I know some people think that I'm about to roast Cornel West, and I'm just covering an article. It's truly, but this is another reason why RBN is needed, because people are so out of whack. They've been conditioned to view politics in a certain way, even if it's the way they interact with politics. And RBN is just different. Like we ain't. We're talking with people we disagree with. We're not afraid to go to Trump country. We're going to talk to them. Conservatives can be here. We got libertarians here all the time. Like we're just different, and that's the reason why we get a lot of the backlash that we do. But we
got we have the real big tent that these Democrats claim that they have. Their big tent is full of capitalists. It's full of neoliberalism. Our big tent is full of workers from all backgrounds, from all different types of backgrounds, and they try to shame us and say, oh, this is a red-brown alliance or whatever the fuck it may be. Like, no, this is a whole bunch of workers pissed off at the same government, but we just align politically, different politically. But we can work on that. We can work on that when time comes, because when they see the best way to fight against these things, we have to use socialist strategies and whatnot. You're not about to get more out of your boss telling yourself and telling him that you're a conservative, because you want to conserve the way the system is right now. If you want better, you're gonna strike. You're gonna strategize. You're gonna unionize. You're gonna get out there and just do what needs to be done. Become a fucking socialist overall. You may not know it, but you will see it.
Facts. And let's jump right into the next one. We don't need a break in between these. A couple of short stories, but the next story is the Cornel West story. The threat of Cornel West is the next story after this Hilary story. But I had to cover this this jackass right here. Do I have a banner for her? Not yet. Let me put a banner up. But this is Hillary Clinton says there's a war on truth. I mean, the audacity, war on truth, the audacity of some of these people, like what comes out of their mouth, like Obama, the audacity of him to bring up Libya over those. It's like, how fucking dare you bring up Libya after what you did It's just no conscience, man. Just no conscience. Hillary Clinton says there's no war on truth. All right, so let's get here. Aaron, you can start it here. Hillary Clinton is back in the news again. Hillary Clinton says there's a war on truth. And when she's saying it, she's not talking about herself, believe it or not. She's talking about other people. And I actually think she's talking about us. Like, we fall into the category of people that, quote unquote, has a war on truth, because we have to understand, what does she mean by truth? Does she mean truth in the sense by definition, or does she mean truth in the sense of the narrative of the ruling class?
Of course.
What she means by truth is the narrative of the ruling class.
Because look at ratings of the mainstream media right now. Everybody's into the podcasters, or they get they watching indie news and whatnot. Even if it may be right wing indie news, they're not getting their news from mainstream media anymore. And this is what she means by there's a war on the truth, because there's a war on people pushing back on the narrative that they have been pushing down our throats for generations now. So now you see CNN with the lowest. What was that yesterday?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
lowest. You know what I'm saying? Rating shows they have ever had, and this is what happens. When people get tired of their bullshit, they start to look for information elsewhere. So this is what she means. She like, hey, come back and listen to us. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody is. This is one of the most unpopular people in the fucking world. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
If it was up to mainstream media, that wouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? It was the indies that pushed that information out here to show us that Hillary Clinton is a monster. You know what I'm saying? She's a racist. And whatnot. But yeah, she just wanted us to go back to mainstream media. That's all it is.
Yeah, narrative control. Here's her tweet. She says, we're in the midst of a real war on truth, facts, and reason. Assaults on the free press have been taken seriously. Thanks. And then she shouts out a bunch of literal propagandists. She shouts out a bunch of literal propagandists here. And then says, for taking on this important topic. And I guess this is some sort of event. This is her global event. She's talking about the topic is being taken on. This freaking just ghoul. Let's listen, Rome. It's about 30 seconds. Let's listen.
We have a very real war on truth, facts, and reason. You can't have a democracy if you don't have people reporting on what leaders are doing. And so we need to defend journalists, not only in autocracies like Russia, and not only against non-state actors in Latin America, but we have to be vigilant in the United States as well.
Are you talking about Julian Assange?
I was about to say, was she making the case for Julian Assange? It sounds like she's making the case for Julian Assange, right? Because he's not an American citizen, but somehow we got this nigga locked up across the world.
But this is what I was saying. This is and this I had the wrong banner. This is the banner I had, because this is a new segment I'm doing now. Hypocrisy Watch, Rome. So I'm gonna try to have something every show where I'm here. Look at this freaking hypocrisy.
You got your nerve.
And this is her. She has some fucking nerve. Have you forgot about Russiagate? I mean, this is like besides see, let me say it this way. Besides the pandemic, this is freaking like one of the top freaking lies of not all time. I was saying the last at least several decades. Russiagate, that was that whole premise, in my opinion, and a lot of people have said this, was the ground foundation for what the invasion. Now, let's go back to 2014. This is what the ruling class thought was going to happen. They thought 2014, we're going to do our coup. We're going to shell the people in the Don Pass in 2015. We're going to take over the ring, right? We're going to pressure, create this war. Wait a second here. I'm getting this pop-up over the video. You don't see that, do you?
What?
Okay. No, this fucking computer, I need to get a new one. No, it popped up on my screen, so I couldn't even see the video or nothing. Like a pop-up just came up. This shit is all fucked up. All right, let me get back to the video. I'm here now. Let me get back to it.
Not only against non-state actors in Latin America, but we have to be vigilant in the United States as well.
So what I was getting to is that the hypocrisy watch is that so she pulled off Russiagate, and by the way, she still talks about Russiagate like it's a real thing. So you're pushing Russiagate, you're pushing the Ukraine war. Is the war on truth also the truth about how the United States have turned down multiple opportunities to bring about peace in Ukraine? Does what Julian Assange exposed as the truth? Was that a war on truth when he exposed that? Because to me, the war on truth, if you have a war on a person, Rome, who brought the truth to the people, isn't that a war on truth? So this is the hypocrisy. You are waging war on Julian Assange. That is a war on truth that he delivered. And Lula has been shouting this out a lot. So shout out to Lula and Brazilian president. Lula has been bringing this up multiple times. I almost did a segment on it where he's saying what's happening with Julian Assange. The United States need to cut that shit out. So not only just us, but there's world leaders that are speaking to why isn't Julian Assange, or why does he have this sort of thing hanging over him from the United States? But then, meanwhile, Rome, we got Hilary Clinton coming in saying there's a war on truth. I would just like to know, what is she referring to? What do you think she's referring to, Rome, when she said there is a war on truth? Like, what do you think? Do you think she's just only talking about like the Trump derangement? Or are you talking about, she's talking about us, like the Jimmy Dores, the us that's talking about all this shit that's going on?
She's talking to her base and about her base, because nobody else in the world believes a damn thing that comes out of this woman's mouth. Like, maybe she's, I don't know, but she look horrible. All them killing people look is Asian.
She does look pretty bad.
Horrible, and I hope she die a slow, painful death. But I think it's the people who still are resistors, people who don't see the duopoly for what it is. They don't see that the Republicans and the Democrats are the same. She are talking to these people, not the smart people in America, not the people that tune in to what the fuck she has to say. Because if they're listening to her, then obviously they out of their fucking mind. So she can't be talking about us. And the truth is, if she have it her way, we all will be dead. We all will be locked up. We'll probably be doing slave work for her on her escape. Or on her husband. So no, fuck her. She's a fucking liar. Well, no, she's not lying about there's a war on journalism, of course, but she has been waging war on journalism. Her downstairs. Right. Yeah, you can say
she's on the side. Yeah, she's telling the truth, but she's on that side, on the other side.
In general, the game plans. You helping, what I'm saying, come up with the strategies. Of course it is, motherfucker, because you doing it.
So yeah, so, but I'm just hoping that people don't fall for this nonsense, Rome, because it's really, because it feels like we're breaking out. It feels like more and more people, like the narrative control is getting out of control. Like they don't have as much control. And I'm just hoping people don't go backwards into, now I'm starting to believe this bullshit from these despicable ghouls, and we can bring this down because it was just a short segment on her. I just thought that it was pretty rich that she's calling for saying that there's a war on truth from this particular person. But let's move to the next topic, which is finally getting to Cornel West. And I'm going to go to this comment. Let me see if it'll allow me to go all the way back up, because there was one first comment is going to make you laugh, Rome. Somebody's mad at us at RBN for our some of our critiques of it's not gonna
a lot of people mad at RBN.
Yeah, some of our critiques of Cornel West, but that's not what this segment is even about. But they assume like RBN is about to get into Cornel West again on that topic, and that's not completely not it. Just just going over an article that I thought is cover worthy, if for the lack of a better word, and it's this article right here. It is by David Korn, and it's the reason why you see him on the graphic. Let me find. Here it goes.
Damn it. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Yeah, The Threat of Cornel West. It's written by David Korn. That's why you see him on the graphic. So if you didn't recognize who that is, you're like, who's that guy on the graphic? But the far left, that is David Korn. He used to appear a lot more on MSNBC in the last cycle. Haven't been really seeing him as often on MSNBC. I don't know if he said anything or they just got a new crop of people, because they have to do that every now and then. They need new faces to propagandize you, because eventually you find out that this is some bullshit. I used to listen to Rachel Maddow and Chris Matthews. Then I found out that's some bullshit. You see what I mean? You see why they got to always be changing people. But let's dive into a couple of quotes first that I peeled from this article. Where am I? Right here. And let's do this first one here. And it starts here. This is directly from this article. We'll bring up the full thing, but it says, quote, West, with the help of Dow, appears hell-bent on waging a campaign that denounces Democrats and Republicans, while progressive Democrats make the pitch that the left and the center must join forces to prevent Trump from retaking the White House and imposing the dangerous authoritarian schemes he and his allies have already cooked up. And we can just stop here and discuss this part, because this is not a selling point anymore. And Ajamu, I wish I had the tweet, but Ajamu said in the tweet, and I'm just paraphrasing here, black folks ain't afraid of a second Trump term. That's white. That's some white culture shit. That black folks ain't afraid of a second Trump term, especially not black working class. We're not afraid of a second Trump term. So simply telling us Trump is bad and Trump is going to end democracy, if that's your selling point, you can kick rocks and move about and let me go about my day. If you're not coming with something tangible, stop coming to the black community demanding something if you're not coming with something tangible.
And I'm telling you, man, I've never seen so many people that's black and openly saying that they voting for Trump. Like, they're not MAGAs. They like, I'm definitely voting for Trump. I'm definitely voting for Trump next. And you have to remember the bills that Trump had signed to let out a whole bunch of people that Joe Biden had locked away during the 80s.
First step at
and in the 90s. We are seeing those people outside now. You know what I'm saying? They are talking about their experience, and you know what I'm saying? They learn. You know what I'm saying? They know the laws and shit like that. So they coming out of these jails anti-democrat as possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. And they are teaching their sons, their nieces, their nephews this. They teach when I'm out on the streets, we talk about it all the fucking I did 20 years for 3 crack rocks that I was gonna smoke. Type shit, you know? But yeah, that's what happens.
Spot on. And let's read a little more. Where is it? Right here. Right. Trump retaking the White House. Okay. West, this is where I left off. West certainly can't win, but he does raise the specter of Jill Stein and Ralph Nader as a candidate with the potential to screw things up big time for the Democratic candidate. Like, that's not a thing. Like, this is the stuff that gets to me, is like this wording of shit is like, that's not a thing. Like,
y'all was never going to get those votes.
Yeah, that's not a thing. You keep saying mess things up, screw things up big time, as if things going good for the Democrat Party was the plan that everybody had. When I was never aboard on this plan, David Korn, but let me continue with the rest of the quote.
The only people that's messing up the Democratic Party strategy is the Democrats. 70% of the party doesn't want Biden to run. They think he's too old. They think he's out of his fucking mind with dementia and whatever the fuck it may be. He has problems. The party don't want him. It's not Cornel West's fault. This is your problem. And you guys are not old votes. You don't own votes. You're never going to get those votes. Like, y'all making me so pissed off. I might fuck around and vote for the first time in my motherfucking life and just vote for Cornel West just to spite you motherfuckers, right? Just to spite you, because you was never going to get those votes. You was never going to get those votes. And all, like, even with the people that's mad at RBN for being tough on Cornel West, so fucking what? Somebody got to be tough. We got to keep him on his P's and Q's. And like, I don't really have a big deal with Peter and whatever the fuck it may be. Look, party's gonna have all types of fucked up people in there, whatever the fuck it may be. Vote for who you voting for. You know what I'm saying? If he got the strike, if he got the your priorities in line, then you know what I'm saying, y'all want the same things, then vote for Cornel West. Fuck all this bullshit. Oh, you might get Trump, you might get this. No, what you're gonna get is the same shit over and over. The best thing that we can do right now is throw a monkey wrench in their fucking game. And say, hey, we got our fucking 11%. We got our 20%. You can't ignore us anymore. We in this bitch. Let's change this shit. Now we have negotiation power. You know what I'm saying? And we can help more people reach seats in Greens or independent, whatever it may be, so we can have more negotiation power when the Democrats and Republicans are sitting there playing that motherfucking playing back and forth with each other. We're like, no, we hold the bill from both of you motherfuckers. How about that? How about none of you motherfuckers get a signature until this is done? And this is the power that we need to be focusing on if you are a voter.
Spot on. It continues and says, Stein and Nader demonstrated that a fringe candidate can make a big difference in a close election. That's a history lesson that Professor West has chosen to ignore. Maybe he didn't ignore it. He saw it and he was like, I don't give a fuck about it. Like, it's so annoying, I guess that's the best way, how these professional managerial class left just assume that everybody's top goal is to make sure Donald Trump doesn't go back into the White House, and that's not. I'm telling you that shit right now. That's not at all a priority for me whatsoever. Here's the rest of it. And here's another. This is a quote, actually. This is not me talking. Somebody thought this was me talking. This is also from the article, and this is the second part. Meanwhile, West, who has been the honorary chairman of the Democratic Socialists of America, is not scaling back on his association with the left. They're mad about, and I'm going to pause here. They're mad. I know everybody know about the upcoming event on October 3rd. Cornel West will be speaking. Sabby is going to be covering it. Maybe I'll bring it up in a second. But they bring it up right here in this article. And this is what he says. Listen what he says about this. He, that's Cornel West, has signed up as a headliner for the October 3rd event. It's an anti-war event, by the way, for those that, and I'll bring it up for those that might want to attend. October 3rd event featuring speakers and groups that oppose U.S. military assistance to Ukraine. They tend to claim that the barbarous war that Vladimir Putin launched is a proxy war for NATO and that the United States is responsible for the lack of peace resolution. You notice how they put that shit in parentheses.
My nigga, that is the truth. It is a proxy war. It is a proxy war. And you know what? You know, I'm honestly tired of people calling it an invasion. If anything, the U.S. invaded Ukraine. If anything, the U.S. invaded Russia borders. Like, if you want to point some fingers, we can point some fingers. Putin is not the nicest guy, you know what I'm saying? But he don't have Obama blood on his hands, right? He ain't got Bill Clinton type of blood on his hands.
George Bush.
So if you want to point some fingers, why are we here? How did we get here? How did these people get this the training? How did they get these shells and this military equipment? Why are we so, you know what I'm saying, into this war? Because we have something to lose and we have something to gain from it. America, you know, like, it is a proxy war. America is responsible. And I'm tired of people acting like, you know, we are the good guys here. No, this is the empire. This is the empire. Understand what your empire is doing around the world, or if not, shut the fuck up. Because if you're not going to learn history and full detail, then bitch, don't even try to learn at all. You're just wasting everybody's time. We have truths, and you honestly doing yourself a disfavor.
Yeah. Let me continue here. Hang on. Let me take this comment. Actually, I'll leave it up. The list includes. This is the list of people. They're mad. What he's doing here? He's trying to say, look, he's so fringe. Look, he's out here doing this crazy event. People against Ukraine, and look how they even view the war. And that's what he's trying to do here. Now, it doesn't resonate with us. It resonates with people who would listen to him. And then he goes on to do this. The list includes Claudia de la Cruz, and that's right now, that's currently the person that I would vote for, would be Claudia de la Cruz. And you notice they don't mention she's running for president. He doesn't even mention Claudia de la Cruz is the presidential candidate for PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. She's that presidential candidate. But they go, the list includes Claudia de la Cruz, co-executive director of the People's Forum, which identifies itself as Marxist. You understand how much of a bad word this is to capitalists? That is the most foulest word besides communism is Marxist, and you hear them talk about it all the time. They use it as a slur all the time on corporate media, because I hear it all the time. And then they point out Eugene Purier, I think that's how you say his name, is also going to be there, a former host of Radio Sputnik, a Kremlin-controlled propaganda outlet, and Medea Benjamin.
Hey, CJ. You know what he was doing when he was typing this shit?
Yeah, like you see on TV, like the nails just be up there like that. It's such cartoonish how he's describing this. Yeah. But then he says, and Medea Benjamin, the leader of Cold Pink, the subject of a recent New York Times investigation that showed that this anti-war group has received significant financial support from a pro-China tech mogul. Just having China in there is the propaganda piece there. It has become a defender of China's atrocious human rights record, as if the United States, who beats the United States human rights record? It's laughable what these people say. But anyway, that's the article. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring up the full article in just a second. But this is the nonsense that a person like David Corn, I don't know, what do you think they can do? See, the thing about Marianne Williamson and RFK, this is why I'm so happy he didn't run as a Democrat. They don't need to write articles, the threat of Marianne Williamson. They don't need to do that because they can just crush them in a primary. That's all they got to do. They can't do that with Cornel West. This is why they fear him. What do you think he's in store for if he goes all the way to November? What do you think he's in store for?
If he's successful, death. But he's in store for a lot of course, a lot of smears and people going in his background and going through his trash, probably planting some shit on him or whatever the fuck it may be. Because the people do one thing that the Democrats and Republicans don't want is the non-voters with the voice. Is the people with the independent block, the biggest block. They don't want us with a party because they can go ahead and play their back. They game of tug of war all day without us. But we just snatched the rope from them. They like, oh shit, no, they don't want this. So one thing Cornel West is good for is waking up the non-voters, is waking up the post-duopoly, post-Democratic Party voter and whatnot. So I think he's on the right track to get a lot of vote. I think they're undermining him, especially in these polls. Whatnot, because when the last time you've been polled? If that was the case, Gordon,
I say that all the time. I never get polled, and I'm so into politics. How people? I'm into politics. I've never been polled ever.
You would think they'd be emailing us every day, like, what do you think about this person, or whatever it may be, seeing all the shit that we sign up with into. But yeah, I think they're undermining him, And the bigger his message get, the more people are going to feel like voting. I think it's going to bring people back to, hopefully not, but some kind of like the Obama days where we actually have a voice. We actually have a choice. We, you know what I'm saying? This is our platform. We built this from the bottom. And this is what I was explaining of why building a third party is better than joining a winning third party. Like I would rather join a losing third party than join a winning third party, because they don't need me if they're already winning. They already have the strategies and whatever. But now this is our chance to take over this party. Now this is our chance to, you know, mold this in our and whatever the fuck we want it to be. You know what I'm saying? We can call it a leftist party, a Marxist party. We can turn Green Party into a socialist party. But this is our chance to build it from the ground up. And I think people should take advantage of this time with Dr. Cornel West, especially him not being so far left. You know, he not the furthest left candidate running for president right now. You know,
right? That's Claudia. I don't even know if it's Claudia, but she's further left than him. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and he's not further left than us either. Like Cornel, let's be real. I mean, we've said this even before his candidacy. This is not a shock. We've said this before. I think you were one of them. Like he is to our right. Like Cornel West is to our right, and that's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
But this is our time to get around him, to push him to the left. Push him to the left. He needs more people around him. He has been surrounded by PMCs his entire career. Even his job is being surrounded by their children. You know what I'm saying? This is our time to get in his ear to tell him, like, no, this won't work. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna turn people off like me and him and Jim at the bar and at the plant, whatever it may be. Stick to the word of the proletarian. Stick to the word of the worker, and you would do fine, man. You would do fine. This is one of the things. This is one of the reasons why Trump was so successful in the Midwest, because he spoke to the workers. He spoke for the workers. He came out to the plants, the plants that got shut down. He said, "We're gonna open this bitch back up. We're gonna get you guys your wages. We're gonna fight the NAFTA deal." You know what I'm saying? And he won the Midwest. I think he even won Detroit.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. We're in Detroit.
Yeah.
That's
a black ass city. So yeah.
Yeah. This relates to the topic, so I'll read Janice's tweet. Shout out to Janice, always showing us love. Spoiler is fake. Per exit polls in 2000, only 35% might have voted Dem. 25% might vote Repub. 40% would have voted other third-party candidate. I don't want to tell you that. 12% of Bush vote came from registered Dems. Cross-party voters equal loss. It's more people who are Dems that voted for Bush in Florida, for example, that year. It was more Dems. They don't never talk about that. They don't talk about the Dems. They don't talk about the white suburban moms that cross over from Democrats and vote Republican. It's always on us. So thank you, Janice, for that super chat. But let me continue with another part of the article, and I'll start here. I'm just going to read sections. I'm not reading it from beginning to end. I've broken several stories on no labels. Let me make this bigger. There we go. I've broken several stories on no labels and revealed some of its funders, but I'm wondering whether the Democrats and their anti-Trump GOP allies should fret more about another potential threat, and that is Cornel West. And it goes on to say, West, the fiery left-wing academic and orator, is running for president at the Green Party as a Green Party candidate. There are a bunch of little-known Green Party contenders, but he seems a good bet to snag the nomination. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll win.
Yeah.
That will give him ballot access in many states. As of now, the Green Party is on the ballot in 17 states, including Wisconsin. This is your state, Michigan, and North Carolina. They're afraid of Michigan. These are the states that the Democrats are going to be kind of afraid of. Same ones always. Arizona, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina to a lesser extent. But these are the places, and he's on these. Guess these are two of the states that they thought Hilary was going to win. She lost. He's on in those states, and I believe he's on in Florida too. Then it goes on and says, which are likely to be competitive in 2024. It's aiming to get on many more. In the 2020 race, the Green Party won a spot on the ballot in 30 states and write-in status in 9 states. That's 39. So then that's around, Rome, that's around where they're expecting in 2024 to get around 40, because 17 is easy to get on. About 20 states is the easiest to get on. That's why they're already on. Then there's another 10 to 12 states that it takes a little more effort, but they're surely going to get on. So there will be on 30 for sure. And then it'll be roughly 7 to 10 more that'll be write-in states. But in 2016, they got on 44 state ballots, man. If we were able to get 44 and could gather write-in votes in 3. So 47 states you could have voted for Jill Stein. If they're able to get up in their area with Cornel West, he could really do something. And even if we say Cornel West and Claudia combined, go ahead, Ron.
I would like to say something about the when he said, I think, you know what I'm saying, maybe they should stop fighting each other and focus on Cornel West. If they do that, they know this. They're going to be helping Cornel West. We have so many people that's anti-Democratic Party, so many people that's anti-Republican Party, and have no idea that Dr. Cornel West is running Green Party. Like I be talking to a lot of older black people. I heard like, hey, you know, Dr. Cornel West, you know, he came. I'll be talking to him about RBN. Like he came on the show. He running for president. Like Dr. Cornel West. Like yeah, Dr. Cornel West. Like yeah, the civil rights fighter. Like yeah, he running for president. Like niggas don't even know. They don't even know. So I think if they was to put a bigger spotlight on him, they're gonna be doing him a service, doing themselves a disservice. They know this because too many people hate them and is looking for exit, and they are, you know, not calculating, or they are miscalculating how many socialists are actually living in America. There are more socialists in America than it was in the 80s and 70s right now. You know, they just don't have a party right now. So you give them that platform if you want to. You're gonna be a fool. You're gonna be a fool, and he probably end up really throwing a real monkey wrench in the duopoly.
For sure. Right here, let's pick up here. One expert on black voting patterns tell me that West, a self-described non-Marxist socialist, this is, you don't understand how they have that Marxist that puts fear into them. So it's they have to clearly make it to their audience, their capitalist audience readers, that listen, he's socialist, but he ain't crazy socialist. He ain't Marxist socialist. That's what he's trying to make a point here. And a public intellectual who attained celebrity status when he was on the Matrix, and I never even knew that. I knew him. I didn't know he was on the Matrix. I don't recall it. I'm sure he was. I don't recall that. I didn't.
Oh, we saying Dr. Cornel West or somebody else?
No. Cornel West was on the Matrix. He was. He's on a very short scene. It's not a lot of words. It's like very short. So I think Neo goes and asks a question, and all he does is like a couple of lines, and then that's it. Like he doesn't say much. Somebody in the audience may tell you what it is. I'm sorry, right here. No longer has much juice within the black community and is widely regarded as a egomaniac has been. What?
Hold on. Who wrote this?
Wait.
Who wrote this? This the same dude?
This is David Korn, but David Korn is saying he's getting this part from one expert on black voting patterns. This is what this so-called black expert that he never identifies. So, and understand, he doesn't say that the expert is black. He says this just is an expert on black voting patterns. But he's saying that David is saying that this expert is telling us that West no longer has much juice within the black community and is widely regarded as an egomaniac has been. I don't know any black people who think that. I don't know any white people who think that. This is the first time I'm hearing this. But that's the critique they give of him. And it says, it's hard to know if that's an accurate appraisal. West is charismatic figure with a high profile derived in part from his anti-racism campaigning, his hip-hop politics, and assorted controversies, including clashes with Harvard, which he left in 2021. But it goes on. I'm not gonna read the rest of it. I'm gonna
This motherfucker is disgusting.
yeah, he goes on and says a bunch of stuff, but let me read this part. This is one part I do want to read. Not surprisingly, the West team is trying to shoot down all the talk of him being a helpmate to Trump. In the New York Times on Sunday, his campaign manager, Peter Dowell, contended that the Democratic claims that West is a spoiler were anti-democratic. Quote, you don't protect democracy by trying to kick Greens off the ballot, and you don't protect democracy by telling people you're a spoiler. You can't kill democracy to save
I agree with Peter. I agree with Peter.
Yeah. And then he goes in a little bit on Peter. He says, Peter is an interesting case, a Lebanese-American jazz musician who became a liberal blogger. In the mid-2000s, he did digital work for the presidential campaign of John Kerry and Hilary Clinton. In 2016, he ran. And just give him a little history. I don't need to go on here.
Peter, old as hell.
Yeah, I don't need to go on there because a lot of the other points here. Hold on a second. A lot of the other points I've already read in the beginning. Yeah, a lot of the other points I already read in the beginning, but I
just don't get how can they consider him a spoiler when nobody who's gonna be voting or think about voting Democrat, they ship is already sailed. They have their mindset. They're voting for Joe Biden. They don't get Dr. Cornel West is not gonna just change your mind. But oh yeah, I'm gonna vote fucking third party. No, you might get a handful of people, but the base, no, not even Republicans. So yeah, I don't see him being a spoiler to anything. I see him being a spoiler to the duopoly and getting a great outreach to the non-voters and the independent voters and getting them on his team. I see how that can be a spoiler. But as far as helping Trump, no, because Trump is going to win. Trump is going to win whether Cornel West is running or not. Well, it looked like Trump is going to win.
I believe the same thing. I do believe Trump, if he's allowed to run, I do believe, and he's in it. I do believe Trump is going to win. I don't think it's going to be close either. I don't think it's going to be close. I think he's going to win. If it's Joe Biden, especially if he's still the one running. To me, this is not even going to be close.
People need to stop listening to people like Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball when they talk about we need to win and win and win and win. No, nigga, sometimes you need to lose. Sometimes you need to lose to learn how to win. Sometimes you need to lose to learn how to strategize and fight again. Sometimes you just need to get up. And we ain't even up yet. So, it's best for us to keep pushing for this Green Party, keep pushing for, any third, fourth, fifth party in America that you can. So we can have more negotiation power amongst workers and not the corporations who clearly own the Democratic and Republican Party.
Spot on. Now we'll be pivoting to the next story. I'm just trying to get through. I got this story and one more, and then we can get out of here. So I'm trying to squeeze both of these in the next 20 minutes or so. This is, the only time I talk, I'm either talking good about Ron Paul or I'm saying something bad about Ron Paul. I think I've covered Ron Paul maybe 5 stories. I can't imagine in the whole time I've been on RBN and FSL, I don't think I've covered more than 5 stories on him. He's just outside of war and privacy, like he's just another regular, Republican to me. But he is a libertarian, so there are times where we are in agreement. And like I said, the 2 areas that typically left align themselves with libertarian are on war and the surveillance state. And those are usually, or privacy, if you want to call it privacy, those are usually the 2 things that we align with libertarians. But let's start the story here. Breaking, Ron Paul says he will block every attempt to send more funding to Ukraine.
Good.
Exactly. That was my response too. That's also Comrade Misty says, here I am cheering for Ron Paul. I support this 1,000%, and I hope he sticks to it, and I hope others join. That's our reaction. And then we had Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to jump in on the hoopla. Marjorie Taylor Greene, no more funding for proxy work, so she's down with it too. And that's this article.
I like that she's calling it exactly what it is. And you know, it's funny when you see elected officials that's right wing just, you know what I'm saying, out lefting these so-called leftists.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Especially when it comes to something like this. Like, we have to start calling these things for what it is. I don't give a fuck if it embarrasses you or not. I don't give a fuck if you voted for Joe Biden or not. You know, this is a proxy war. It makes you look bad, then do something about it next time. Don't vote for a fucking war criminal. A bloodthirsty war criminal.
Bloodthirsty. You can say that again. All right, so we're going to get to that article in just a second. I just want to show you a couple of more headlines. Here's from The Hill. Conservative Senator Rand Paul will hold up any spending stopgap that includes Ukraine funding. Why doesn't the left ever have anybody like this? The Matt Gaetz. I'm not saying policy-wise. I'm talking about how you can be militant and stand up to these fucking just morons, these people that's killing us. I don't get it when you aspire or you tell people you're for humanity, but you're not willing to really go to Matt for humanity. And let's listen a little bit to his speech when he announced it. We're not going to listen to it all. It's 11 minutes. We might listen to a minute of it. So let's listen.
To any expedited passage of any spending bill that provides any more American aid to Ukraine. It's as if no one has noticed that we have no extra money to send to Ukraine. Our deficit this year will exceed $1.5 trillion. Borrowing money from China to send it to Ukraine makes no sense. It's not as if we have some sort of rainy day fund sitting around, trillions of dollars at a pot of money, and we're just going to send that to Ukraine. We're going to borrow it. When we borrow it and create new money to pay for that borrowing, we create the inflation that is plaguing our economy. Since the beginning of Russia's war in Ukraine, the American taxpayers provided Ukraine with $113 billion. Over the 583 days of war, between February 24th, 2022 and the end of the month, that averages $6.8 billion per month, or $223 million per day.
$223 million per day, Rome. What could you do with $223 million a day with your tour for the poor? What could RBN do with $223 million a day? What could all of you do? What could just we do? What could humanity do with $223 million a day? Homelessness, that shit's wiped out in a day. Single payer health care, everything paid for. No out-of-pocket, no caps, nothing. You know what I'm saying? No long lines, paid for. This is a day. Inflation. Oh, you guys don't have enough money to pay for gas? Let me send you $2,000 checks every month. That could happen, Rome. Instead, they're sending it to the Ukraine.
And they funded their whole government. They're funding their government salaries.
Yeah. Everything.
What we are.
Everything. Sickening. But let's play some little more of the video and see if he makes a couple more points. Then we'll wrap this, or not wrap, but another receipt.
There's a lot of things that we need to fix in our country before we borrow money to try to perpetuate a war in another country. When will the aid requests end? When will the war end? Can someone explain what victory in Ukraine looks like? President Biden certainly.
What does victory look like? Have you heard what that looks like, Ron?
400,000 dead Ukrainians.
That sounds like defeat. That's defeat. That ain't victory. That's not defeat.
Oh,
and that's not what they saying. They probably
said they was winning. You know, because the satellite seen that, you know, Ukraine had dug up 400,000 new graves. You know, and I look on the media, they telling me that we're doing fine. Send them another $10 billion. I was just going with I know.
All right, let's continue. I'm gonna bring up another two articles to kind of counter, because I'm reading this article in the background. It is
hold on, I'm about to cuss my girlfriend out. Don't be sending no money. We ain't got no money. Why you sending money?
Especially not
I ain't got no money.
Especially not to him. But all right, let's listen a little more Rand. Let's see.
Certainly can't. His administration has failed to articulate a clear strategy or objective in this war, and Ukraine's long-awaited counteroffensive has failed to make meaningful gains in the east. With no clear end in sight, it looks increasingly like Ukraine will be yet another endless quagmire funded by the American taxpayer. That's why public support for the war is waning. A CNN poll from August shows that a majority of Americans now oppose Congress authorizing additional funding to Ukraine. And now there are those in the Senate who would refuse to listen to these voices coming from a war-weary nation, and who would hold the federal government hostage by inserting $24 billion more for Ukraine. They're talking about saying the only way government stays open, the only way we avoid a shutdown is by shoveling more American taxpayer dollars to Ukraine.
You believe that? And I'm going to stop his part here. So in order for us to pay our bills for our shit, the Democrats are saying we have to pay Ukraine some money, $24 billion. I just can't believe they're trying to do that. What say you, though, on this final? We can close out here on Rand Paul holding up this money along with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Close the video, and then I'm going to read an article. What are you thinking about both of them? Like, this is making the squad look so terrible.
Yeah.
The right wing is the one who's saying no more money to Nazis.
But remember,
like that's what's happening. Go ahead.
We got to remember the two parties always do this, man. Every once in a while, the right will out left the left, and then pull more people to the left, to the right, whatever the fuck it may be. There's always this tug of war with these people, man. This has always happened. But I feel like Ron Paul, he talking some good shit right now, but I see where he at when it's time to go to war with China.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When it's time to go to war with China, when it's time to really fight the big dog, then yeah. Because I don't know, maybe I'm gonna go back and watch his speech for myself and see if maybe he wrote up a peace deal, wrote up some peace treaties that he can, pass along or whatever it may be with the powers that he have, because you can talk all you want, you know what I'm saying? But until those actions, when it's time for you to be active, then shit, your actions can show. So if he, if he blocked these bills, if he blocked this funding to Ukraine, then, you know what I'm saying, more glory to him. But like I said, I see where his head at when it's time to really fight the elephant in the closet, because China is taking over. China is taking over, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Totally.
I love that they are pulling the people out of poverty, that, that they are, sprouting amongst the sanctions that we have had on them for many moons now. But yeah. Ron Paul, I think all these people is just full of shit, man. I think all of them got some part to play. And this is us winding down from the Ukraine war. This is us Osama bin Laden, getting ready to Osama bin Laden his ass, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you start hearing, like we starting to hear more people pull back support, and people that once supported it, they may not be as vocal about it right now. But I guarantee Zelensky will he will be drone striked, or maybe even shot by his military, which will be because of what America wants. You know what I'm saying? When America told him to pull that trigger on him, he's gonna die with the rest of them. I'm pretty sure Gaddafi gonna beat his ass at the gates.
Yeah. Let me read this here. Here's a headline: Rand Paul, Marjorie Taylor Greene vowed to oppose further funding for Ukraine. And that's Marjorie Taylor Greene out lefting AOC again on Ukraine war. I'll read just a little bit here. And you see the picture of them again. Here we go. Senator Rand Paul said on Wednesday, today I'm putting congressional leadership and POTUS on notice that I will oppose any effort to hold the federal government hostage for Ukraine funding. I will not consent to expedited passage of any spending measure that provides any more Ukraine aid. Any more U.S. aid to Ukraine. As the congressman prepares to vote on yet another continuing resolution to keep the government operating, the disagreements over U.S. funding of the war in Ukraine have taken center stage. The deadline to pass the continuing resolution is September 30th. That's 9 days from now. And then in the new CR, there is a substantial amount of the funding for Ukraine for which funding is a holdover from previous congressional bills. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Byron Donalds had a public disagreement over the funding in the bill. Greene noted that your CR funds Section C and Section K of public law, and then I'm not going to read the rest of that quote. It's just mumbo jumbo. Let me get to the rest of it. This is a function of the CR saying that certain previous bills will be funded, and those bills contain funding for Ukraine that was approved by the last Congress. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi presided over the previous Congress, which passed repeated funding for Ukraine. So,
man, you know she got some money out of that shit.
Yeah,
you know she was washing that motherfucking money. You know she got some businesses, some yachts, a couple of $1 million out of that
generational wealth. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Republicans took charge of the House in November 2022, yet the CR continues some of the Ukraine funding initiatives of the previous Congress. Greene cited $300 million that the new CR will fund by covering the balance of previous laws. So we won't get into the weeds of the procedures, but the Freedom Caucus, I don't know if Marjorie Taylor Greene or Rand Paul, but they're Freedom Caucus light. They're putting their foot down in the way that people on the left, like Bernie Sanders, he's in the Senate, like Rand Paul, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's in the House, like AOC. So we got two examples, two chambers, nothing from the left. This is what we should be seeing from them. This is what we should be seeing, because Bernie Sanders is fine with voting. Remember, people act like Bernie Sanders was not instrumental in breaking a strike. Oh, he didn't vote to break a strike. Motherfucker, he voted for unanimous consent. You understand? That means an expedited. That means he's agreeing to the process. You can't act like he doesn't have quote unquote blood on his hands for this. So, but Ron, what say you to kind of close this out, close out this segment, and we'll get out of here for the stream. I gotta go to pick up my daughter at the preschool, sir.
Back to the library. I got some work to do. I got to meet up with somebody. One of my followers on Twitter and whatnot. They wanted to meet up. I'm like, I'll meet up with you. I ain't doing shit. So, but yeah, all these people, man. They I don't know, man. I think I don't believe the Freedom Caucus or whatever the fuck. I don't believe none of these people, to be honest. I think it's all a play. Because, you know, maybe they don't want to go to war with these people, but they would definitely go to war with these other people. There's always some strings that they pull behind the scenes and whatnot. I don't believe none of these motherfuckers. But they want to invade Mexico right now in China. Yeah, it's just funny to see, you know, Bernie Sanders and AOC and the Democratic Party and their base get their bubble bust. You know what I'm saying? And they make it look like, okay, oh, you guys agreeing with Ron Paul, you guys are right wing. We always knew you guys were right wing. Like, how am I right wing for agreeing with no war? Like, you lost all stuff. Like, what is the point of calling yourself a leftist if you are agreeing to war? That is not a leftist position. And I'm gonna cuss out Shell because I don't have $5. Why is she giving RBA $5? Like, I have that money to replace. I'm broke right now. That's my girlfriend. I'm gonna have to go upstairs and cuss her out.
I was wondering. I was like, why are you worried about her giving some money? I was like, what you got a problem for? It's money for us. So it's recycled money. It's coming. Is she paying it? It's coming right back to your pocket. You talking about? It's going right back to you. But I'll read what it says. Liberal polls are so skewed, they only ask questions about the DNC or the GOP, and they only use the poll if it serves their narrative. That is actually spot on. How do you say it? Cheryl. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for that super chat, Rome's girl. Anything else, Rome, before I get out of here? I got to get to preschool to pick up my daughter. My youngest is in preschool, so I got to get out of here. Huh?
What's up? Tell the kids I said hi. Tell the wife I said hi. But no, I ain't got no. Oh, donate the tour for the poor. I'm about to get ready to throw up my my fundraiser for the library. This is gonna be the last fundraiser for the library. If you want to be a part of something that's bigger than you, part of something that's gonna stick in my community for generations on. You know what I'm saying? This is something that we have built, and I take a lot of pride in this fucking in this project right now. But donate the tour for the poor. Subscribe, like this motherfucking video, because y'all niggas been lazy today. Like
Yeah, y'all have.
And remember what I always say: go on your mama phone, go on your grandma phone, go on your grandpa phone. Subscribe to RBN. Don't tell them to subscribe. Subscribe to RBN and let the propaganda do its job.
Spot on. All right, everybody. No outro video because I literally got to walk out of the door from here and get in my car and go pick up my daughter so I'm not late, or my wife will get in my ass picking up this young girl late. But anyway, I clicked the wrong thing. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Today is Thursday, so that means the Sabby and JB show in 2 hours at 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you tune in for that. Other than that, your boys, Rome and CJ, are out.